Ho, 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 ho!
John, I missed you.
Possible crane call. Check the area and confirm.
No signs of disturbance, dispatch.
I thought I told all of you I want radio silence.
Sorry, I didn't get that message.
Ho, ho, ho.
I got some bad news for you, Dwayne.
Holy shit.
Merry Christmas.
This is their idea of Christmas. I gotta be here for New Year.
Die Hard.
And Die Hard is a Christmas movie, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. I don't care what Rennie says out in the audience. Well, don't worry. There'll be plenty of discussions about whether or not it's a Christmas movie. It is, but we'll discuss it anyway. It is. But, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, Ben, apart from some car trouble that'll probably, mess up my New Year's. But hey, I'm doing good. What about you, man?
I'm no longer COVID positive. I went through my rounds of antivirals. I'm all ready to go. One of my favorite movies of all time. Rewatched about 3/4 of it today. I've seen the end so many times, I don't even bother watching that. I'm just like, I know the end.
Yeah, you're kind of washing the sour taste of Rebel Moon out of your mouth.
Oh my God, don't even. Let me put it this way. I went to go see Aquaman yesterday, and I'm not sure if that movie was actually pretty good or just so much better than Rebel Moon that I felt it was good.
The Snyder effect.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah, so we got a good one today. We got quite a few people to get in here though, so I guess we should probably get that going.
Let's do it.
I think the first person we're gonna bring in, because he's been on the mend a little bit, and there's a possibility he might die during this stream. But if he dies, he'll die hard, and that's our friend Lance. I couldn't not do that joke after we made it backstage.
Dude, back from the dead, and not quite at 100%, but great to be here. I wouldn't miss a stream about Die Hard, probably my favorite action film.
Oh, it's up
of all
there.
time, and I've got so many stories about it, not least because I organised a trip to go and see the very first UK screening of it with a load of friends who didn't even know they were going to see Die Hard. So I'll tell you about that later. But it's also the only film I saw in America. It's the only film I've seen in America 7 times at the cinema.
Jeez,
well.
It was released the first year I went to the States, and on my days off, all I would do would go to the movie theater in the mall, and I would see one film after another. And you were a bit spoiled back then because you had movies like this out. See
Yes.
These are all the films that were out.
Durham. Wow. Big.
Coming to America.
Midnight Run.
Man, I imagine being a reviewer back then, man.
And you also had Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Cocktail.
And
the other thing that was really nice was the first time I saw Die Hard, it was in 70mm. Don't get to see any films in 70mm now.
I saw Rebel Moon in 70mm, but
yeah, it's rare though, isn't it? And this was also in a new screen at this particular mall that had just been added, and it was one of the first films they were showing there, and big THX speakers and all the rest of it. And I'd seen a trailer for Die Hard the week earlier. Every day off I had from the summer camp, straight to the mall, hitched to the mall, watch movies basically. So I thought, right, no, that's the movie I'm going to go and see. And when I saw it, I was like, oh man, this is so good. I just sort of like went straight out, bought another ticket, went straight back in and watched it again. And then I got to see it like 5 or 6 more times. Out in the States, and I'll tell you about the UK screening later.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. But we got a couple other people we got to get in here first.
Yeah, let's get in the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And
making his return to Two Hoes for I guess this is probably his 3rd time here.
I guess.
The audience will know this guy. He's the golden reach around droid of choice. He's the protocol droid with the hemorrhoids, and that's Z3PO.
Oh, good evening, gentlemen. A pleasure to be with you once again, passing me around like a dirty little whore.
I feel my bits tingling.
Z lives perpetually under the mistletoe. That's all we need to say.
I most certainly do. So come and get some if you're feeling brave enough.
I like what you did with your avatar. I like the
avatar.
your background.
I'm trying to get into the seasonal mood, and thankfully, Bing AI does produce after prompting and re-prompting and re-prompting and re-prompting.
Yeah.
It's very much like Artoo.
So, you know what? Speaking of which, we may have a surprise for you today, Z.
Oh, yes, please. I do so love surprises.
Well, he's the Astro Mech who will give you a prostate check. And if you got a V2, he'll give you the D2. It's Professor Artoo.
Artoo.
Oh, greetings, meatbags.
I love how Uninspired has never heard that intro before. He's just laughing his ass off on the other end.
Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. Great to be here.
Not a problem, man. We did one of the Mr. Brown Alliance streams together. We got off, we got off a really good start there, and I was like, I got to get this guy on. So
yeah, thanks.
It's great to have you on. Your first timer, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you stepped up. We weren't sure if Lance was going to be able to make it today, which he is, which is awesome. And I have no problem with there being extra people for this movie. But you stepped up immediately when I said, "Hey, I need someone that might be able to fill in." You were like, "I'm there." So, and that's always great when people do that.
Well, I am the seat filler extraordinaire. That's my raison d'etre, apparently. So.
But yeah, I guess we'll get our last member in here, and on a molecular level, there's a near infinite amount of this guy. But if you ask me, somewhere in an S&M dungeon somewhere, there's only 50 Shades of Adam Gray.
Ooh, it's the ghost of hangovers past.
Look, I write these very highly specific intros, okay?
I like that one. Thank you. It's great to be here.
What was that? Oh, God.
Yeah, also a first timer. So
yes. You were originally on the schedule though, so it was like you're slightly less of a first timer than Professor Artoo because he's a first timer and one of our first backup like fill-in guys. So
yeah, I'm still mad about being booted for Mr. Brown. Oh God,
yeah, supposed to be on Superman, but hey.
Honestly, Mr. Brown saved my ass last week. I did not have the energy to run that stream, and you having a guy who's like a seasoned veteran at running a stream was really helpful last week. So,
well, if you need some ass saving, Mr. Brown will save some ass.
I'm gonna turn on my camera real quick because I want to show everybody the shirt I'm wearing for this one. So
yeah, flex your shit, man.
I got my now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho, ugly Christmas sweater.
Thank God he has pants.
Very
on.
nice.
How do you know I have pants? I don't.
Listen, maybe it's a boogie 299 situation, man. We don't know.
I think I'll do one. I think I'll do one of my. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm just gonna whip out some comics, some that people might not know exist. Actually, Die Hard Year One.
Wait. Keep it there. I'll do a solo layout.
Oh, there we go. It's actually a pretty good story. It takes place before the movie. And it is written and illustrated, I think, but I know it's at least written by, I'm not sure if he illustrated it, but Howard Chaykin, who's a really good writer. So just wanted to get those to
work. Like, it's before the story, so it's
yes.
Just
so it actually shows right here. So
it says, I guess.
Yeah, it says right there, 1976. So it takes place in his first year as a beat cop in New York.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Those are my two plugs for now, and now I can take off the ugly Christmas sweater because I'm melting anyway. Nah, I'm just kidding. I can't turn off the heat lamps that are on me though. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's why, dude. That's why you should be off camera. You can just be chill. I'm just in a sweater. That's pretty much it.
Do you want to see my faded Die Hard T-shirt?
Oh yeah. You got to show that.
So this was purchased in 1988. Literally. One of the stores in the mall had one T-shirt. I never saw it again anywhere until like years later. I still got it, but now it's so faded that Willis looks like a zombie.
He does look like a zombie.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
It's like Die Hard. Dawn of the Die Hard.
Yeah, it's realistic battle damage.
This is from 1988, so I think it's lasted pretty well.
Jesus. I'm telling you, today they don't print stuff like that anymore. That's for sure. You wash it 5 times. That's pretty much it.
Well, now they
Yeah.
sell those fake faded ones.
That's why almost
Oh,
every
yeah.
shirt I buy now has like the sublimated, where it's in like built into the fabrics, so that way it doesn't get rid.
Just as well back then, I never washed my t-shirts, eh? God.
Okay, well, now that
Yeah,
we know that Lance wore a lot of dirty t-shirts, I guess we'll start with the standard. What's everybody's background with this movie? Lance sort of already gave us his background, so we'll just, I guess, if it's okay with you, we'll skip right to we'll go with Z first.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, well, I have a bit of a passion for gripping adventures that take place in high rises, from Towering Inferno from 1974.
Great film.
The Raid, Dread 2012, and everyone's favorite, 9/11. But not Skyscraper, though. The Rock can go fuck himself. That's a terrible movie. But overall, I really enjoy the sort of Skyscraper things. And this did it the best because it's set at Christmas.
And it is a Christmas movie, Rennie.
And it is, in my mind, an absolutely Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas Eve. His wife's named Holly, for Christ's sake. What more could you want from
never put two and two together on that. I never put together that her name was Holly. That's actually
really.
Yeah, I never thought about it. It was just a name to me. I never really thought of it as part of the Christmas theme.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
This one I didn't actually get to see in the cinema. It was one of the first VHS movies that I owned, and I've since seen it. I've also had it on DVD. I think I've got it in Blu-ray somewhere. But it's one that's remained a staple and one I'll continue to watch year on year. It never gets boring, and the action on it just never stops, not for a minute. Just when you think John McClane's out of the woods, no, he's right back in the fire again. And
fuck yeah,
it's got great pacing. It's one of the best paced movies you'll ever see.
Blistering
for a 2-hour
pacing.
movie. Yeah, it does. It just flies by. It's great. But yeah, man. Thank you for coming on, Z, dude. It's great to have you back on again. And I guess we'll go to Professor Artoo. What is your experience with Die Hard?
Well, definitely not one that I got to see in the theaters. I was a little too young back then to see an R-rated movie in the theaters, but did get to see it when it came out on video a few years later. And it's a fantastic film. I love this movie. I love it. Every time you watch it, I feel like there's something new, some new look, some new shot that you recognize. Like, oh, that look! I can't believe I missed that shot before. It looks so good. It's just, it's a fantastic movie. It's got setups and payoffs. It's great acting. Great direction. It's fantastic. It was just one of the best action films ever made. It was the template for action films for a decade. Just a great movie. And I mean, yeah. How many movies were Die Hard on an X? Right?
Die Hard on a plane.
Pretty much every single thing that Steven Seagal did was trying to be Die Hard. So,
and and then learning some of the backstory. I'm sure we'll get to talk about this more, but learning some about how the movie was made and how it just sort of fell together as it was being made, and realizing that it was just all these people putting their very best effort, all their skill and their talent and everything together, and then just making something wonderful. It's a great movie. And yes, one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Yes.
So far, even if the rest of the panel was to say it wasn't, it's been voted, Rennie. It's been voted by this official panel.
Rennie. It's a Christmas movie.
So yeah, that just leaves us with Adam. Well, and then obviously you and me inspired, but Adam as a guest, you get to go first.
Oh gosh. I can't remember. I was trying to remember if I did see this in the theater or not originally, because right around 86, 87, I was working in a movie theater and all my friends worked there and a video store next door and that kind of thing. But I can't remember exactly. I've just always known this movie. And I did my homework this week. I watched it twice. And I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I was shocked at how good it was. Like, I didn't remember how actually great every aspect of this movie is. The writing is tight. The cinematography looks great. The action, of course. Bruce Willis is probably peaking at this point. It was a joy to rewatch this again, and I absolutely love it.
I
man.
mean,
Die Hard is fucking awesome. I don't know what else to say. Like it is really really good.
It's probably the best all-round action adventure film of all time.
And yeah, it provided a template for.
It's definitely
years
in
to come.
if it's not the number one, it's definitely in the top 5. That's go without saying.
Easily.
So can I ask that trivia question to see how many of the panel get it right? Because we
sure. Let's give it a shot.
We have a panel of diehard experts here.
It's too early for a test, Lance.
And everybody, we're going based on the
question in now before you get too tired. And anyway,
we're going on the honor system. No one Google it.
No. You won't get it from Google. So when we had the movie quiz, I had a tiebreaker question ready. In the original trailer for Die Hard, one of the first lines is, "In LA, 12 terrorists have taken control." There's 2 things that are inaccurate about that statement in the trailer, which are what?
Well, they're not terrorists, for one.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the
And
other
there's not 12 of them?
They're not
Yeah,
12.
that's true. Everybody always thinks there are 12 terrorists, but everybody always forgets about the Oriental guy that gets smacked in the face by Willis and he drops all the bail bonds. He's terrorist number 13.
13.
Even on the posters, you get some posters that say 12 terrorists have taken control. There's 13 of them.
I just did a quick count. You're correct. Yeah.
The guy that steals the candy bar, which is one of my favorite.
Yes,
I forget that dude's name, but he is like an extra in so
that's
many action movies.
That's Al Leong, and he's actor and stuntman. Was also in Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, he was in a lot of stuff. Pretty much every McTiernan movie had that guy in it. So
yeah. So
McTiernan loves
13,
faces.
13 terrorists.
Yeah.
But I guess before we get started, let's Uninspired. You still need to give us your background, which is probably going to be pretty brief because you weren't born yet.
Yeah, I wasn't even in the ball sack back then. So I was basically an atom, I guess.
Hey.
But yeah, so my I don't know, my history with this movie is pretty weird because so basically I grew up watching, I don't know if you guys had these, but there were bootleg 24 movies in one DVD, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and, I wouldn't know what you're talking about. I only have original DVDs. I have,
I've never watched bootleg anything.
You never download a car, would you?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had one of those, and it was only Bruce Willis DVDs. And my dad was like, "Hey, you should watch Die Hard. It's pretty good." I was like, "All right, cool." And by that time, I wasn't really on the internet, so I wouldn't Google Die Hard to see what it was. I just look at the poster, see where it is on the DVD, and my DVD player, of course, didn't have a fucking remote control, so I had to do it manually. And I ended up watching The Last Boy Scout, thinking it was Die Hard for years.
Oh.
Because my dad said, "Hey, there's a black sidekick that you probably like." And I was like, "All right, cool." I ended up watching The Last Boy Scout and I was like, "I don't know, man. I didn't hear anything about a Nakatomi Plaza." And for some reason,
the title at the beginning of the film, The Last Boy Scout, not give that away.
For some reason, I missed it, which is weird. And well, yeah, so it's only years later that I ended up actually watching Die Hard for the first time. So I was probably about 16 or 17. And man, I really fucking enjoyed it. And to this day, I really, really like it.
So you only watched it 2 months ago for the first time.
Maybe.
So as for me, I'm not going to go into the whole like, oh, it's, great. I watched it. I will tell a little story about it, though. I have a friend whose birthday is Christmas Eve. He now lives in Florida, but for years I would travel. I would always I would make sure to go out of my way to go to his house to go see him because, nobody is going to go. Most people won't visit you on Christmas Eve because it's, they're traveling. And every year we made sure to watch Die Hard and we would time it. So that way it was Hans Gruber fell off of the Nakatomi Plaza and hit the ground at midnight. We knew exactly when to start the movie.
Oh, shit. That's awesome.
Right, I'm going to stop you right there. There's something I'd just like to clear up. The plaza is the ground floor area in front of the building.
Oh.
Okay, when he smacked into the...
he smacked into the plaza.
Yeah.
But it takes place in the building. A lot of memes get it wrong.
Yeah, which is Nakatomi Tower.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, whatever.
Located in Nakatomi Plaza.
When Hans Gruber became a pancake, that's when it would turn to midnight. That's exactly what we would do.
Yeah, quick bit of
Very nice.
trivia. The Nakatomi Plaza at the time was Fox Plaza, which makes
Yes.
perfect sense because the
Mhm.
film was made by 20th Century Fox, but it's now under some other ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. It was the Fox building, so obviously, they were producing it. So they just kind of said, "Hey, can we use part of your building?"
Yeah, it worked out
And
pretty well.
it was not a completed building yet.
Yeah.
The some of the bottom floors and some of the top floors were still under construction, though some of the middle floors actually had people working in them, which didn't go over too well with all of the firearms and explosions. So they ended up,
concentration.
Yeah, they had to. They got some complaints. I think, especially, there were lawyers that were working there that weren't too fond of the guns going off and stuff during the day, and so they ended up having to move all of the stuff that had to do firing blanks and doing explosions. They had to move that either off site or do it in the evening.
Jesus.
Yeah, the sets are pretty seamless, actually. I mean,
yeah,
all the
back and forth.
construction stuff that's all really there. That's,
Yeah.
all the half built stuff that's just on the floors where they were still building the building, basically.
Yeah, and the writer took a tour of the building specifically to make note of some of the different areas that there were and some of the different things that were laying around, like the cart that we'll see later that was there, so that he could incorporate that into the writing as he was rewriting the script.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
That's actually
one
really
of the
good.
things one of the things I love about it is it has a real like the movie itself has like a video game feel where he learns his terrain and where he can hide and all that stuff, and it's part of the story is that like he's using that to his advantage, and we'll get into that obviously as we go along. But it obviously now knowing that that they did a lot of scouting of the location, it makes sense that they would incorporate that into the final cinematography.
That's what creative people do.
Yeah,
or
they
did back then.
Yeah, back when ChatGPT didn't exist.
It is rather video game like. Yeah, you start off at the beginning where he doesn't have any weapons, and then he slowly builds up his arsenal.
And he has to do increasingly more ridiculous things.
Fights mini bosses along the way.
One thing that I noticed that I haven't seen enough of in movies lately is he loots the bodies. Like, every time he knocks somebody down, he empties their pockets just like you would in real life or a video game.
I was just about to mention what Princess Fiona has literally just said in chat. Being a screenwriter, you could not look for a better film for an example of setup and payoff. Like, from the very word go, like the conversation in the plane and the guy taking take your shoes off and make balls with your toes. All of that stuff is.
Don't worry, Lance. We're gonna get to that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying everything in the film. There's no wastage. Every line is relevant somehow to something else somewhere, and that's why the script is so good.
Even boasting about the watch as a gift.
Yeah,
integral later on.
And the only other film I can think of. Yeah, the only other film I can think of that gets anywhere close is Back to the Future.
And in terms of
setups and payoffs,
exposition, there's no dumps at all. It's all like hidden in each line of dialogue. It's really well paced out as far as exposition goes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we get into it, ladies and gentlemen?
Let's go.
I believe
all
so.
Right.
Let's talk about the logo for 20 minutes.
Fuck yeah, 20th Century Fox.
I mean, I will say this: it's probably the most iconic, like, starting movie logo. That's all I'm going to say about it, though.
Even the Star Wars movies now don't have this, and I miss it every time. You don't have fanfare for the 20th Century Fox logo, and something's missing.
Well, we're never going to see it again. What we're going to see is probably, Hulu. That's it.
Uninspired. You got a freeze frame of that couple embracing in the LA airport with the girl in the really tight. But anyway, never mind.
I hope so.
Knowing uninspired, yes. Don't worry.
Well, hey, listen. I may disappoint you. I may not. I'll leave it up to you. You'll see. So, I mean, before we start, let me just do the super chat for you, Dark Hour man. Go ahead.
I didn't even realize there was one. Blue Collar Loser, my buddy, for $5 says, seeing this for the first time in theaters with my son 2 weeks ago was amazing. Yeah, they re-released this a lot actually. Truly a perfect script. Setups, payoffs are great. I'll see I'm assuming that's I'll see the replay.
Yeah, he said that he's watching the Iron Claw at the cinema.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see that too. But yeah, thank you, Chris. And yes, it was seeing this movie in theaters on those like replays is always awesome. I'm glad that you were able to take your son to that.
All right, so yeah, we got a John McTiernan film, of course, and you know that you're in LA because hey, it's orange and hazy, and that's pretty much all you need to know. Jesus.
Yeah, we noticed this last night. The use of filters, lens filters, where nowadays it would all just be digital. It has a very different look when it's actually a lens on filter on the camera.
Yeah,
it's very, very much of its time, and it looks great.
Yeah, you look at the Bad Boys movies; they all have that weird filter. Go ahead, Professor Artoo.
No, I was just to say we got John McTiernan's name up there. We might as well mention he really didn't want to make this movie. They had a hell of a time talking him into directing this.
Well, there was a lot of issues. I mean, like first of all, he hated there's a reason why he changed it from terrorists. He didn't want to do terrorists. Mean. There was a lot of things about the script he really didn't like.
Yeah. Well, he was kind of tired, I think, of doing sort of what at the time was the action movie tropes, which was just you have this big monster of a dude who's going to overpower everybody, and it's just tired, and so he was just not interested. It was like
he was coming off of Predator too.
Yeah, he was coming right off of Predator, and they were having a hell of a time finding a star. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And so I think it was Joel Silver, the producer, had to keep going to him saying over and over again, please, 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 until they finally talked him into it because he just got tired of being badgered over.
Damn. Well, hey, I'm glad that he did it because Die Hard is the fucking classic.
Oh yes,
I don't think anybody else could have did this movie, directed this movie properly. To be honest with you, it requires somebody who had that understanding of action finesse that he's just so good at.
Yes, and he was very much he wanted this to be funny. He wanted there to be humor inserted into it, and to be a real person, not a superhero who was the star, but just another guy.
A guy that can get beat up and get injured, but power himself through it, like Rocky or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you've also got the cinematographer who is, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Jan de Bont.
Jan de Bont, who went on to direct the Tornado movie, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, he did Tornado. He did Twister. He did Speed 1 and 2. And I recently was watching Corridor Crew's video where they break down.
He's the one who did Speed. He's the guy who got stuck in the elevator. Yeah, so that's a story.
By a fucking lion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not for this particular movie. He got stuck in the elevator that they used, and that was his inspiration for Speed.
Yep.
Go ahead, man.
I don't understand where he got that, how he made that connection, but I remember reading that he was stuck in the elevator for like an hour and came up with the idea for the movie Speed. It was.
What the fuck? Well, that's weird. Well, hey, so we started the movie, and it's John McClane that's out here arriving at LAX, I guess, because I'm not American, so that's pretty much my knowledge of airports. And so he meets this guy, and he's telling him that he has to make fists with your toes barefoot.
Yeah. Like ball up your toes and get them into the carpet, which is the craziest thing, but it actually plays pretty well.
Make fists with your toes. Yeah.
Don't say fist too often. Z will get excited.
Oh, well, already excited.
I'm used to that.
Talking about toes and feet.
You'll get a restraining bolt. Stop it.
So he does realize that McClane has a gun, which I don't know if that's legal, even if you're NYPD.
It wouldn't be at the time. Normally, you'd have to secure it in the cockpit unless you were specifically, doing some sort of anti-terrorist thing. Because I did fly a lot back then, and he wouldn't be able to do that. But there's a number of things in this movie that would strain your suspension of disbelief if it wasn't such a goddamn great movie. So you just let it go. And you enjoy the ride. So,
I mean, pre 9/11, of course, as well.
Yeah, I mean, the TSA wasn't founded until 2001.
Oh yeah.
So they weren't even a thing back then.
Yeah, air smoking on flights at this point.
Being an off-duty cop would not give you a pass on that, but it doesn't matter because it's a great movie.
Rule of cool.
Rule of cool, yeah. And so, I mean, in terms of exposition, we do get that he's been a NYPD for 11 years, which is, a good chunk of career. And yeah, the title card with pretty cool font, actually. I like it.
Yeah, I like the way it comes together with
Yeah.
that, and you kind of know something's coming up.
Yeah, the score itself is actually really, really good for the film. There are certain passages where it's just like, wow, this is great for an action movie, which you don't really see a lot, especially in terms of action films. A lot of them just sound the same.
That was a staple for McTiernan, though. I don't know if he used the same like sound people all the time, but a lot of his movies just had really good, because like it was, with Predator and this one, you could even hear at some points it has a similar kind of feel to the Predator music, the way that it's like very subtle and undertoned. And it was just so I have a feeling that the team he uses on a lot of his films is the same. So
probably.
So the title of the movie, Die Hard. I understand this does not translate well into other languages. Well, what's the French title?
I actually have to look that shit up.
Blow hard.
Yeah. D hard.
Complain hard.
I know.
They actually keep it, maybe.
And a lot of other countries, I think it was called like Crystal Jungle or Glass Jungle.
Oh, yeah,
like
that's what
that,
it's called in French. In French, it's called.
Okay.
Some countries would call it aspire while erect. It was very weird. The literal translation was very strange.
Yeah, so in French it's called piège de cristal, which basically just translates to a crystal. Well, you can translate it to crystal prison, which of course in the skyscraper.
Okay.
I can
pretty
see
pretty sexy the way you said that title there.
Lovely.
Ooh, piège de cristal. Yeah.
There you go.
Listen, ladies in the chat, I'm single. Hey, just saying, just putting it out there.
But you're not allowed to see what he looks like, so it will be a blind date.
Yeah.
This is actor James Shigeta, who plays our head man. And I
Joseph
don't know
Yoshinobu Nakatomi.
Yeah, you guys might recognize him from Midway because he played Vice Admiral Nagumo in the early Midway film, not the later one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never seen Midway, but I do find him recognizable. I do recognize him from one movie though, and it's Die Hard.
Yeah,
you don't.
He's did a lot
that
of
guy
work.
from Die Hard.
Yeah, he is that guy from Die Hard. Well, he's basically telling everyone that it's one of the best years for Nakatomi Corp, and it's the Christmas party. I don't think you can see Holly here, or maybe you can see her at the edge of the left.
No, you can't because she's in her office actually doing work. She's like,
she's still in her office.
Well, now she is in her office. So we finally meet. I think this is Ginny, who's pregnant but wants to drink. So the 80s.
The 80s was the 80s was a different time.
Fetal alcohol syndrome didn't exist back then. I don't know.
One.
She's just finished swiping cocaine off her desk there.
Harry's coming to take
that's
it
later.
And so we kind of get Harry and we meet Holly and most of them, and it's great because you know exactly who Harry is just from his discussion. He wants her, and of course she doesn't want
you mean
him.
Ellis.
Well, his name is Harry Ellis.
Oh, I didn't even know that was. I always thought his name was just Ellis. I never even realized that he had a name.
Well, yeah, his name is Harry Ellis. Ellis is his. I think his normal, like his family name, his surname.
You didn't know it was Harry Ellis? Call yourself a Die Hard fan. I don't know.
Yeah, Dark Hour. I thought you saw this like 100
Yeah,
times.
man.
Right? Come on.
You've only watched it once, haven't you? Come on.
Oh yeah, of course.
And so you get a sense of Holly. I think that it's great. How do I say this? It's great character work because you get Holly and how she is as a family person. She's like, even the fact of the relationship, the maid has already prepped the spare bedroom, which probably shows
all of that's going to be relevant later. Even the fact that they've got a maid is going to be relevant later. So this is a brilliant setup.
Yep. And you don't even realize it.
No, it's so good.
Yeah, and here's a little, I think Lucy McClane, who's later played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, if I remember correctly.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Mew, mew.
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Hey, I'm single too. Just say it in case. So you get the family picture, and that's basically all you need to know about Holly is given to you in the span of 3 minutes, I guess, which is incredible screenwriting. Just to
Yeah,
say the
Very
least.
efficient.
the pacing of the doling out of information in this movie is sublime. It is so
Yeah.
well crafted.
And it's all natural. It all just fits with what they're doing and what they're telling in the story. There's none of it that's like you said earlier. There's no info drops. It just happens as part of.
It feels
the
like
story,
natural
as part of what's happening.
conversation.
Yes,
Yeah.
it feels very
Yeah.
plausible, real dialogue.
Yeah, it's
Bonnie's
not
great
like,
in this. Bonnie Badila's great in this role as well.
Yes,
She is.
Yeah.
That's her name. I don't think I've ever seen her in another movie apart from Die Hard, but I may be mistaken.
she was around in the 80s. She did a few things.
She
So
was
she's
brought
not
on
like,
to this.
Go ahead.
She
go
was
ahead.
brought on by Bruce Willis, actually. He
Yeah,
had seen
it was
her
his
recently.
suggestion,
Yeah, he had recently seen her in another film and said, "I really want to work with her. Look at her for this part." And
Heart,
so
heart like a wheel.
Yeah, that was the name of it.
All right, and yeah, so we get the little portrait over there that, of course, she smacks down on the desk, which again set up.
Yeah,
Not
fucking
one scene
fantastic.
is wasted in this movie at all.
Nope.
Scene or dialogue, actually, nothing. No, it is fantastic. I think that everyone should read this script. I mean, actually read the script at least once, especially if you want to be a filmmaker or a screenwriter. It's just too good. And of course,
I just want to throw one thing out. I
Go
didn't
ahead.
want to do it while we were talking about the housekeeper, but this movie has absolutely invisible, natural diversity in the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
It doesn't beat you over the head with anything, but we have all kinds of representation in this movie, and it's just natural and realistic, and nobody made a big deal about it back then.
Especially
We even have
German. There's lots of Germans in this film. It's very, very important.
And we have
Yeah,
a strong female character in Bonnie Bedelia and
Yeah.
Holly McClane.
Mhm. Well, strong in her own way, and even how
Exactly.
would I say this? Even progressive. Because I'll get to that point later on, but yeah, it's great, and here he is, Argyle, the slick back hair, looking good, man, and
He's great.
Yeah.
So fun fact,
good.
I reached out to the actor who played him to see if I can get him on this stream, and he
Nice.
saw my message and just ignored it.
Damn.
Well, we can just mispronounce his name all we want then.
That was probably the 20th request he got this week.
Well, I reached out to him like 6 months ago. So.
Oh God.
I've reached out to a couple of the Die Hard cast myself, and there's one.
Look,
I
and
might have a shot
in
with.
fairness, the guy has all of his stuff as like his name, and then it's always Argyle, the limo driver from Die Hard. In everything. So, like, what does he expect people to reach out for?
Yeah.
On that note, funnily enough, I always expected them to do a bit more with his character. I thought he was somehow I'm glad that they didn't, because they didn't need to, but I always thought he was somehow going to end up getting into the building and helping out McClane, because that was kind of set up leaning that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to him just breaking out at the end and going, "Hey, yeah, I got to take you home and let's see what's happening for New Year."
He does cold cock a guy, but that's about it.
Well, we'll get to that, but he serves a good function in this, which he's
sure.
You don't really know what's going to happen with Argyle, and they touch base, the phone thing happens, but we'll get there.
Well, he's kind of like a proxy, because, for example, in this scene, because of him, we get to learn a lot about Bruce Willis's character, so John McClane. I mean, the fact that he's in a limo and sitting in the front seat with the driver tells you exactly what you need to know about who this type of person is.
Both of them.
It was actually down to Bruce Willis being exhausted from shooting on Moonlighting at the same time. It forced D'Souza to beef up the roles of Sergeant Powell, Ellis, Argyle, and Richard Thornburg to give them more character within the movie. And I think the movie definitely benefited from that.
It does.
Yeah.
And then they lucked out, because then his co-star got pregnant and they had to push production back a little bit, so he was able to free up more of his time and spend more time on the movie.
No. Wow. I mean, yeah, and well, in this point, you get you get the fact that he's been living alone, in New York for 6 months, because Holly's been here with the kids. Yeah, with the kids, and she moved for a job, and the reason why he didn't move with her is, he says it's because he had a backlog of criminals, but Argyle mentions that I think he didn't think that she would succeed there, and she would
Yeah.
basically come back to him. Which,
Argyle calls him out on a lot of his stuff.
Oh, he
Yeah.
does.
oh yeah,
Well, it's
Also-
funny though, because he says he's a taxi driver, and so he's used to having these conversations, and he's probably used to reading people too.
Mhm.
So it does make sense.
Yeah. It just
Well,
just
it-
go
the
back
kind
real
of-
quick. With the when he's on the plane, there's a flight attendant that they exchange looks, and then there's
Yeah.
a girl in the hot pants down in the baggage claim, which sets up the fact that this man has been separated from his wife for 6 months. He's a little randy. And
I
it pays
always
off
love
later,
this
too.
scene too, by the way, because like Argyle clearly comes from a taxi background, like he said, so he's good at reading people and seeing if what they're saying through the between the lines, and he's doing that with a cop who that's his job, so it's like they're kind of like playing off of each other.
Yes.
I know a few mama bears I can call.
And actually I know that Bruce Willis did a lot of like actual research with real police officers to get his mannerisms and his his vernacular down
I believe
properly and
that.
stuff.
yeah, and
He learned a lot of them had. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just say he learned a lot of them kind of did have kind of a dark sense of humor, and he really does bring that into the role.
Oh yeah, cops have a very, very dark sense of humor. I mean, for anyone who wants to actually see what it's like to be a cop without doing a ride along, of course, there's a good video by comedian Theo Vaughn, which you guys probably have heard of, and he does this podcast where he just brings in regular people, and I think he talks with this cop for about 2 or 3 hours, and man, the amount of shit that they've seen just in their like 20-year career is crazy, and the fact that he said they cope with incredibly dark humor, I can believe it, because some of the stuff that he was saying was great. But yeah, anyways, back to Die Hard. But you guys should check it out if you're interested in stuff like that. And yeah, so we finally get to the Nakatomi Plaza, and there we go. Current technology for what, 1980? Well, 88 it came out, so 87 I would say it was filmed, right?
Yeah, it would have
I
been
guess.
shot in
Yeah.
87. But yeah, this
Yeah.
is approximate period technology. It's
Yeah.
it's a little
Touchscreens weren't
silly.
unheard of.
It's
but
a little
they were pretty
silly
rare.
because he looks up his wife's name, but and that's great exposition. But the guard at the desk never even checks his ID or anything. He just
No.
He doesn't check
does it
jack
right
shit.
there. Yeah.
It's
To be
Christmas.
honest, the guy at the desk is a bit of an arsehole because
Yeah.
he tells him to go and use this thing, and then he proceeds to tell him that the only people left in the building.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
are
Yeah,
only
so he
people
had to
on
go
that
there.
floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
it's
could have easily
Christmas.
told them what floor they were on.
It's
I think
Christmas,
that
so
that's
he's bitter. That's fine.
So I'm glad he got shot.
I was gonna say, I think that that's actually probably a little subtle trick by them to
Yeah.
try and make it so you don't get sad when he gets killed.
Yeah.
Like, kind of make him a dick. And the other guy, the other security guard, is a complete non-entity. He doesn't even do it. He doesn't even say a word. So
I thought that was
kinda
you
weird.
doing a bit of extra work playing that second guy. The principal photography for this movie, by the way, took place between November 87 and March 88.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, so this does set up the fact that she's over there, fourth name on the left. So Gennaro Holly, because she changed her name from McClane when she moved there, which of course is comes back to bite us in the ass because hey, it's set up, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we finally get our meeting with him coming into the building, meeting with this dude. Well, I'll just call him Nakatomi, right? That's his name,
Mhm.
Yeah, that works.
Mr. Nakatomi.
Huh.
Because I mean,
Kagi.
Oh, no. He's not
Mr.
Mr. Nakatomi.
Katagi.
oh yeah, Mr. Katagi. There we
Not
go.
Mr. Nakatomi.
Yeah, yeah, oh,
Takagi.
No, yeah,
yeah.
he's they have a whole explanation of everything about his life in the very near future.
fuck it. I'll call him
Yeah.
Joseph because that's his name. All right. There we
Yeah,
go.
Takagi. Who I
Joseph
love his
Yoshinobu.
line. I love his line when he's getting introduced, and they're they're talking about Japan and whatever.
Pearl Harbor didn't
He
work
said,
out.
Mhm.
Yeah, how it didn't. Yeah, so we got you with tape decks. It's just great.
Not bad. But yeah, and it's great. And you have these three meetings. So you got John, Joseph, and Harry. Well, Ellis, since you guys are telling me to call him Ellis. And yeah, so we do get more info that the floors are under construction, and they also ask him to show the watch when Holly comes in, which John replies, if I remember correctly, is "I'll see it later." and we actually don't see it until it becomes relevant
Yeah.
at the literal end of the film, which is pretty good.
Ellis's introduction is fantastic too. I like when you walk into the office and he's very clearly swiping the coke off of his desk.
Yeah,
I was making a phone call.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and he's picking at his nose and stuff. The whole
Yeah,
it's like, oh,
you missed a little.
Yeah.
His performance is so good. You would never
It's
know
excellent.
this was the same actor from War and Remembrance who took over the guy from Airwolf. He took over his role because he didn't get recast when they and to think that it's the same actor is I didn't recognize him when I saw the movie. I didn't realize it was Hart Bochner until like way later. Yeah,
Man,
amazing
he's
job.
really good, and like he's slimy in this.
Oh,
in
he
this
throws
movie.
himself into it, and it's great. It's just
It's
great.
incredible. It's like Hans, Bubby.
Yeah,
that line was actually ad-libbed.
Yeah, it was ad-libbed.
Yeah, that's why. Sorry, I just grabbed a drink, but that line was
as
ad-libbed.
were quite a few of Alan Rickman's lines actually.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why Alan Rickman looks at him so confused because he had no idea he was
It
going
was
to
a really
say it.
funny look, yeah, because it was all the booby thing was.
There was actually there was a bunch of lines that, including, jumping way ahead, but the like, "Hi, honey" at the end was completely ad-libbed.
Yeah, and yeah, so you finally get all of that, and of course, Holly is completely, she's really happy that John is there, despite the fact that we know there's issues with their marriage, and it's just great to see because the actors instantly sell it with their performances, which I find fucking fantastic.
Yeah, they lock
Absolutely.
onto each other across the room and ignore everyone else there. It's good.
Yeah.
You can actually feel the chemistry between them. The way she looks at him, she's absolutely overjoyed that he's back. But obviously,
she
they
gives it
still
that
have-
John. I didn't expect to see you.
Yeah,
like
but
there's a
still
quiver.
those-
There's a quiver.
There's a quirk. She takes there's a little breath in, like that. She's kind of shocked to see him again. Yeah, it's so
It's
well
the
done.
Z3PO tingle.
It is when her eyes go all doughy when she looks at him, and she remembers what they had together.
They definitely come off
Completely
like a
sold.
New York couple, by the way, because it's like they're like happy to see each other, and then they immediately start arguing. It's very New York of them.
Isn't that what makes a New York couple? I guess.
When you live in the tri-state area, you see enough of this stuff to realize that's pretty much what it's like. Yeah.
I think that's accurate. I mean, I've lived in New York, but I also appreciate how they are behaving in front of others, but as soon as they're alone, John spills his emotions out right away, and and all the stuff they've been holding in for 6 months all starts pouring out.
Yeah, I mean it's great because you can just it's the slow manner in which yeah.
I often am, just saying.
Ooh.
just not about Ellis's real name.
Yeah,
This is our first look at the iconic vest.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
they made 17 of these in
I had
various
that-
states of destruction.
I had that written down, and the one of them, I believe it's the last one, is in the like Smithsonian or something like that.
Yep.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I've got it in my cupboard somewhere.
Yeah, there's a possibility. There is a legit possibility Lance may have one of those shirts.
Yeah, Bruce Willis donated it to the Smithsonian. Yeah, the one that he had.
Man, that's great of him actually.
I bet it's proper ripe. It probably stands up on its own.
We know what it looks like by
yeah.
the end of the film.
But yeah, Z, that's a good one, man. That's
It's in a glass case, stood up on its own with no assistance.
I mean, they probably use it as like a chemical bomb at this point. Just unleash the stench that it has. Oh god!
Don't open the case.
To Z's point, that's very like efficient for them because it's like, okay, we know exactly when we have to use all these instead of like taking a shirt and trying to damage it as they went along. They just were like, okay, here we go. This.
Yeah, it wouldn't be shot in sequence.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Now McTiernan liked to shoot as much as he could in sequence because he wanted his actors to kind of feel it and to meet each other for the first time when they see each other for the first time in a scene. He wanted things to be as real as possible. I know that was one thing that he tried to do in his films, especially in this one.
yeah, I think that's always a good way to go. Because imagine if it's your first day on set and you've never met your co-star, and now you've got to film a death scene with them. It's like, I mean, I know we're all actors. Hey, Mr. B,
Brownie's in the house.
I know we're all actors. And
Hey,
stuff,
Mr.
but
Brown.
it's still, you still have to try and at least get emotionally invested, you know. So I do think shooting in sequence is great. And in this scene, of course, the way that their performances are given, it's very, very slow. It's just hey, you know, I have the spare bedroom, you can come and stay in. You can tell that they want to, but they just don't want to admit it to themselves.
I,
And so
I don't want to bog us down, but I do want to point out one more thing I noticed about this rewatching it.
It's fine.
The product.
We live the bog.
Okay, if you're not afraid of a long show, I'm not either. The Evian bottle, there is a lot of very subtle product placement in this.
Yes,
Totally done.
Like the Coca-Cola scene later when they give it to Ellis. It's like they make sure the label is
the crunch bar the guy eats. Yeah.
You guys know about the Tag Heuer watches in the film, right? So
what about them?
That was a massive product placement, and they had a scene where the terrorists were all in the van, and they did a synchronized watches, Tag Heuer watches, close up, bit like the watches close up you get in James Bond films, and then Willis takes off a watch off the first terrorist he kills. I think that's still in the movie. And then the reason that he realizes Gruber is a terrorist later, when they have the scene where he pretends to be an American, is because he spots him wearing the same watch as the terrorist he killed. But because they cut the synchronized watches scene, that whole sort of plot thing didn't work. So they had to re-edit the scene accordingly so that he would recognize him. You know, they cut to that shot where you see the list of names on the wall, and that's how they kind of got around that. But Tag Heuer paid quite a big chunk of money to have several shots of their watches.
Well, what's
in the movie?
One of the great things about this movie is that it's so natural that all that placement and it pays off at the very end with Holly's watch.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Yeah, and so at the end of
you
this
couldn't do this movie nowadays because cell phone, people checking the time on the cell phone just doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah, that's true. iPhone, it'll be an iPhone ad, man. That's how it'll be. Your latest iPhone or your latest Samsung. That's how they do it. Just show it. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you update this for modern audiences. You could get it all over with a WhatsApp message.
And yeah, so they basically end the scene on bad terms because he brings up the fact that even though he does accept it, he fucks up the conversation by bringing up the fact that she changed her name to Gennaro instead of keeping it to McClane. And I think and this is the part where I was talking about, you know, being her being a strong woman, because she does mention that. She doesn't mention it directly, but it's hinted at the fact that Bruce Willis wants to be the breadwinner of the family with her at home with the kids, because he says, I think she says, you had an idea of what our marriage was and was supposed to be. And of course, you know, in context of everything. So yeah, feminism is in the movie, ladies and gentlemen, but it's done well and it's not really in your face. Who knew?
It's actual like feminism of like, I want a career kind of thing, not like, hey, you're terrible because you're a man because you exist. It's like,
oh yes, the white man.
And as soon as she exits the scene, he immediately starts berating himself. For being emotional and mean.
Great going, John.
Yep. Then we have our first kill of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. There is the man that I guess
the guy that Lance didn't like very much.
Yeah.
Well, then, of course,
promptly replaced by Huey Lewis.
Just
So one thing I love about Theo, the computer specialist guy, is that he uses, and it's the whole movie. He uses sports references and even here he's like talking. His distraction tactic is to talk about the Lakers game, and
they just burst into the building just in mid conversation about sports.
And it's also the guy that they eventually put in his place also uses sports as a distraction tactic, because it's something that's pretty, especially around the holidays. There's a lot of like college football games and stuff that are going on, and so like it would make sense. A lot of people would be talking about these specific things as they were happening, and I always just loved that it was a consistent thing, start to finish.
This actor just passed away as well, Clarence Gilliard.
Oh,
who plays Theo. Yeah, at the age of 66. So only 2 years older than you, Dark Hour. So you better be watching those carb intake.
Probably has a had a better hairline than me too.
That's sad though. He did seriously. He did go pretty young. There's
a lot of character themes. Like this guy has the sports thing, and then between Gruber and McClane, they have the cowboy thing. It's all really just so well written.
Well, the terrorists are also well dressed as well, and that's Marilyn Vance Straker did the costumes. I think she did the Untouchables as well.
You mean the not terrorists?
Oh yeah, the not terrorists. Yeah, but the bad guys. They've
Terrorist
all
in
got like
quotes.
really nice clothing, top of the range, fashion label jumpers and all of that.
Well, I mean, speaking of them, well, let's take a look at their entrance, shall we?
Note there's no ambulance in the back of the truck.
There's distinctly something missing in that van.
That truck is a TARDIS. It's way.
They're all. I was reading this earlier. One of the reasons why they made them German had something to do with the fact that all the actors were really tall. So they basically
except for Al Leung.
Yeah.
Well,
so they made a lot of them German because Germany is historically one of the tallest nations outside of the United States. So they had to basically be like, okay, let's try to make sense out of this.
Well, and German terrorists don't represent any particular ideology that might be a problem for the studio.
Yeah, I mean, at the time
it was so.
At the time, there was the fall of Eastern Germany, and the bringing down of the Berlin Wall was going to be soon. But yeah, there wouldn't have been much in terms of really problematic things. I think it was pretty universal. Nobody liked the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
bizarrely enough, Bruce Willis is more German than Alan Rickman because he was only born in West Germany to a German mother.
We can talk about Rickman's accent in this movie if you want.
The accent that slips in and out constantly.
Yes, the place.
And I think a lot of his German during this is grammatically incorrect.
Yes, I believe so.
A whole lot of it is, yes, from everybody.
Yeah. But he's amazing in it. So
no, he's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he just fucking abandons speaking German. It's like, shoot the glass. Yeah. Like, yep, hey, fuck it. Even the Germans don't speak German.
So and his American accent later is something to behold as well.
According to Melvin Deeply, Netherlands has the tallest men on average. One region average height of over 6'3". Okay,
close.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't choose it because it was the tallest. They just happened to be like, oh, well, if a lot of the actors are tall, we need to have them come from an area where that would at least make some sense, which probably they could have got away with not worrying about that. But
the lead,
I appreciate the details.
The lead henchman, the big, tall, long-haired blonde guy, I forget his name.
Alexander Goodenough.
Oh, well,
Carl.
You know what?
Carl. He was a defector from Russia. He was a ballet dancer.
He was a ballet dancer.
Yes. To America. Yeah.
He was the first of the cast to die in 1995. So he passed away a long time ago.
Yeah, so his movements, if you watch his movements, they're very clean and very smooth.
Yeah.
That man knows how to.
Now that you're mentioning it, I'm thinking about him walking on the roof with when he's stalking down Willis, and his foot placement is perfect. Yeah, I can see
that. When you see him jump down or move around on things. He was a Russian defector.
Yeah.
Man, even Russian ballet dancers look really scary. Sorry, Z. I cut you off, Z. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like about this introducing scene is the fact that you get to see how ruthlessly efficient they are. Though it was cut off the start of the clip, they actually lift the back of the truck before the tail sets on the deck, and they're already moving out of it while the thing is opening, and then it's one after the other of methodical things which have been meticulously planned, and you can they absolutely sell it to me as well, either terrorists or thieves from the outset.
Well, as a person of German descent, and have all of you having seen how organized my scheduling is, I think I can assure you that is a very genetic trait, that efficiency and organization.
It is a true stereotype. It is very true.
It's also it's just so dramatically gripping. Straight away, you're like, oh, this is going to be a good film from this point onwards. The music and the timing of all the sound and everything with it.
Yeah, we're not at the
Spot
scene
on.
yet, but there's a bit where Hans Gruber admires the models in the CEO's office and talks about the precision,
the exactness, the attention to every detail.
and you learn that he's that guy just with a little bit of dialogue. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, well, speaking about them being efficient, of course, once they come into the place, they lock down all the elevators, they take over, and directly, of course, as Professor Artoo said, Huey Lewis right there, he just takes the position of the security man, and everything's prepped in less than 2 minutes, and boom, that's it. That's all you need.
He looks like a dude who would be sitting security at a a building like this. Like
he does.
Yep.
And I think he's the only, if I recall correctly, Theo and him are the only two Americans.
American,
yeah.
His southern accent is awful, but he sells it.
Yeah, and so basically they start setting up. Of course, they go through the wiring, and I think they're cutting everything up, and just it's such a good way to establish everything, because the fact that, as you said before, they're all well dressed. If these guys were dressed like common thieves or something like that, it wouldn't have that same impact. It just works. Exactly. And yeah, there he is. The payoff of feet, more feet. It's so much feet. You'd think this was a Tarantino flick, but hey.
Mr. Brown, that's out in the audience. So don't hang on these feet too long.
Oh shit!
But then they again, the setups and the payoffs. They set up him doing the fist with his toes, so he's got his shoes off. Yeah, it's excellent.
And then of course you've got Argyle that's able to talk to him, which of course promptly gets cut off because they're cutting all the. I think this is the telephone wiring, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
They're rewiring. So my father was actually telecommunications workers. They're basically rewiring within the system, so that way they can only loop for themselves if it calls, and they could do it. It's basically a closed loop phone call now, and they can't be reached on the outside.
Okay, I see. Well, yeah, man, even more efficiency there. And is that the dude from Ghostbusters too?
Which one?
The one directly in the middle. I think he's asking if it's Vigo.
Yeah, Vigo.
No, it's not the same actor.
Looks kind of like Vigo, but
he does.
In that lighting, it does look a lot like him.
I'd say that another thing this film did was it made the Heckler and Koch MP5 machine gun very cool.
I love an MP5.
Yeah.
It's if it's available in a video game, that's the gun I choose every time, and it's because of this movie.
It's got a great refined look.
I love the ring sight.
Did anybody own that Die Hard video game? Do you remember that? It was quite.
Die Hard trilogy for PlayStation.
Yeah. That was
I did own it. I don't know where it is anymore.
Yeah, they should do a new one of that. It would be.
I think that honestly, with modern graphics and like stuff, this would be a fantastic, like almost like pseudo open, like where you can move throughout the building where you want to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if it was done well, yeah.
But for it to be historically accurate, Jennifer Lawrence would need to be the lead.
Yeah.
She was the
Vigo
first John McClane.
That's right. Yeah.
Vigo the Carpathian or Vigo the Mortensen?
Mortensen.
So you've got Hans that arrives at the party looking all slick, and man, Alan Rickman was fantastically cast for this. I just think that he does such a great job. Well, except for the accent, which every single accent that he tries is all over the place.
I'm okay with it too. It's not like he has to be like pure blood German. He could have been all over the world, and
he's international.
Sticking point.
Yeah, this was his first
$5 from Mosla.
It is
apparently that is Vigo.
You see,
And someone loved, and thank you for the super chat. I would have actually highlighted that either way, but I appreciate it. But yes, that is Vigo.
Wow. Who called that out first?
Who was the one who asked it?
I
Was
said it
Artoo?
wasn't him.
I asked if it was him.
Oh man,
I know.
good
I didn't
odds.
say. I didn't confirm or deny whether it was him. I had no idea.
I'm not convinced it is. I'm going to double check.
Double check. All
Yeah.
right.
It's
All right,
him.
so
It's
there
him. I
you
checked
go.
it on IMDb.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super
Oh,
chat.
yeah. Willem von Homburg.
William von Homburg.
I didn't.
Yep.
Hold on. I didn't
is
even
him.
say. I said I didn't know.
It's too late.
Yeah,
Rewind
man.
the tape. Rewind the tape.
I got something wrong about Die Hard. That's pretty fucking rare for me.
We've all done it once so far. I
We've
think.
all learned something new, Lance. It's excellent. That's
God,
the best that can happen.
he's dead as well, man. He also died
yeah.
young. It's
I
like
guess
if you're on Die Hard, your chance of living into your 60s is pretty slim.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Bruce Willis is not too far
Yeah,
along.
Bruce Willis too. Jesus,
He's gonna be.
Yeah, dude. So basically, Hans's team enters. They take over the well, I wouldn't call it the plaza. I would call it the building space. Basically,
I literally didn't answer the question.
You say, hey, rewind the tape, clip it, ladies and gentlemen, clip it. We got him. And yeah, so he makes his way out, and I think he goes to the upper floors through the staircase where there is still construction being made, of course. Yes. And there he is. Hans is about to make a sermon, kind of like a pastor. He's just out there.
That is a great stop right there.
Yeah,
it's great speech, ladies and gentlemen. I just love it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, and the iconic 90s, 80s file effects that he's got there.
Yeah,
just love it.
Very organized, very Prussian.
Yeah, and everyone is just basically under his control. And what he does is he wants Joseph, of course, and this is where we kind of get Joseph's CV, because hey, why not? We literally get his entire life from birth till we see his death anyway. So yeah,
we literally get all of his life.
Basically, yeah.
That is a great line, by the way, when he goes. I don't remember exactly how he says it, but he's like, because he did not cooperate, he will not be joining us for the rest
of his life. Yeah, it's really neatly tied up in a bow. Yeah,
and father of 5.
It's just the way he looks at him. Yeah, go ahead, Professor Artoo.
I'll just say these offices here, these are on a set, right? They're not in the building anymore.
This is a set.
Yeah, they're off on a set.
Yeah,
sort of lounge.
Yeah, and they wanted the set designer, the production designers wanted this to be very modern looking, and I guess they took a bunch of different influences. They got some stuff from what's his name? Frank Lloyd Wright. Yeah, Frank Lloyd Wright. They took some designs from him, merged it with some Japanese designs to kind of make everything look very modern, but also very Eastern.
Through an 80s filter, because it is very 80s. With the water features and the sunken floors and stuff, very 80s.
There was a very similar set to this in the Towering Inferno.
Yes,
which I'm sure Z will remember. And you've got the overhanging balcony that overlooks it, everything. It's the same set that Robert Wagner goes through in fire and eventually falls out the window. And I think they might have shot this on the same soundstage, because they're both 20th Century Fox.
It's
movies.
possible.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because well, of course, at the time, everyone did recycle their stuff, so it was
probably was burnt to the ground, man.
Yeah. So as McClane is going through the building, we see that they have some guided missiles for everything. I guess. Yeah, they have. We have everything, because it also lends a bit more how would I say, the professionalism to these crooks, because you don't really know what they're there for at the beginning. It's only until just not too far into it that you get what they're there for. But just the fact that they came so prepared, it leaves so much to the imagination of what's going to happen next in terms of the script. It's great.
And again, not even a nitpick, but man, that truck is full of stuff.
Oh, yeah, it is.
You don't really see them unload missiles and things like that, but it's bigger on the inside for sure.
No, yeah, they are very well armed, to say the least.
Now this is a speech that Hans gives about precision and all the details.
And speaking of Frank Lloyd Wright, that's actually one of his designs right there. That was a bridge that he designed for San Francisco, I believe.
I think we all do. Smilex, we all do.
Wow.
I prefer the misguided
so
missiles. They're sluttier.
The miniature that they have of the Nakatomi tower, is it the one that they use in the film, like actually use for the shots that they were just like, yeah, fuck it, we can put it in the movie? So
I don't know if they used one. I don't know if they used one at that scale, but the one that they actually do the explosions and stuff with is it's several stories tall. It's a big,
it's huge.
Yes,
very large.
Yeah.
It's in a parking lot. Yeah,
yeah. That small one was not used for any shots in the movie other than this shot here.
I wonder I wonder if someone actually has it. That would be pretty cool.
You know, I mean, they also did a lot of the explosions around the actual like building, like in the sets around the building. So I can only imagine what like the Fox executives were like. What the hell did we sign up for?
Yeah,
but
we're gonna lose millions on this.
But no one was in there because that was part of the condition of filming. Was it all had to take place at night, so everyone would have gone home at that point.
Yeah,
I just mean that the possibility of the damage to the building.
Well, yeah, that the blowout of all those windows that wasn't quite as planned as it wasn't supposed to be as big as that, and a load of the windows.
I mean that one cleaning lady that never got the memo. She was just there chilling, and then boom! Oh my god!
Yeah,
There's definitely some real damage.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I mean, as we said before, this scene, you really get the sense that Hans is an educated and sophisticated man. It's because when they're in the elevator ride, he talks to him about his about Joseph's suit, of course, and it's like, yep, I know, I own 2 of those. I know exactly where they're from too. And he does say, I think those are the benefits of a classical education. I think that's what he says specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then of course,
no one would really take a German. We'll still call him a terrorist, a German terrorist villain seriously if he, in any movie role if he was not very intelligent. It would just come off as very strange.
And so yeah, so we get a bit more computer stuff from 88, of course. CEO workstation. It's like subroot finance alpha.
We're hacking the planet.
We're into the mainframe. Isn't that what everyone used to say? Like, yep, I'm in. And so yeah, so we finally get it, but I will admit that the computer setup is pretty dope. Actually, just comes out of the desk. I'd love to have one of these. Actually,
I do want to point out that there is a poll, and it is Die Hard a Christmas film? The answers are yes, or hell yeah.
Yeah, we're not having this argument anymore. It's about a family reuniting through hardships. And
Christmas,
the true meaning of the true spirit of Christmas. Is this
throughout the movie? Throughout the movie, there's jingle bells in the background playing.
Oh well, let's talk about the score because worked in some amazing stuff from like the Nutcracker to little jingles. Yeah, and everyone in this movie is whistling or humming or mouthing a traditional Christmas song all the way through. Everyone
except for Argyle even plays, rap Christmas music, ladies and gentlemen. So hey,
the MC.
Yeah, that's a traditional Christmas song right there.
It is now.
Yeah. And so yeah, so we finally understand what Hans is there for. So he's there for bearer bonds that are stuck in the vault, and of course, Mr. Joseph Takagi will not help him. So he does something to him, of course. While Bruce Willis is watching, and R.I.P. Joseph Takagi, I guess.
I mean, I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to kill me. We do it the hard way.
For years, I thought bearer bonds, by the way, was like a made-up thing for this movie, and then like a few years ago, I found out they were actually a real thing. I mean, I have never lived in a situation in life where that would have been a thing I had. So,
I just want to go back for a second. When Hans is reading Takagi's biography or reciting it, there's a really great detail in there where he mentions that he was in the internment camps in World War II because he moved to America before the war. And there's a one tiny little line there about how he was in the internment camps in the West Coast for a couple of years, which is doesn't need to be there, but it's a really historically great detail.
Which gives even more context to the Pearl Harbor joke from earlier.
Yep.
And so yeah, so you've got John McClane that witnessed Takagi's death, Joseph's death. I'll keep calling him Joseph, and he's just trying to survive at this point. Hey, I thought we disproved this.
In his own
Every
mind.
time it pops up, I will continue.
And so yeah, so we do get the setup of them planting. Well, we don't know if they're planting explosives. We don't see the explosives directly, but we do know that they're planting some type of bombs on the roof.
They're
So
doing
these are-
something bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
just the roof crew basically. And of course, we finally get to see the vault. And never forget that
shot.
I think it's Symphony Number 9 that keeps playing every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
Ode to
apparently
Joy.
they had bearer
Yes.
bonds in Beverly Hills Cop as well. That's not a movie I've seen as many times, so I don't recall that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did.
But,
mention Bearer
I've
Bonds.
I've seen the Beverly Hills Cop movies. It's just not one of those ones I've watched over and over again. So
I mean, a lot of westerns have bearer bonds actually as the score that they want to get. So
well,
I'm
yeah. What I was
surprised
saying,
I've
I
heard
just
of it.
thought it was like made up movie BS for a long time, and then I found out that I mean I'm not a financial person.
Like,
If
like
there's somebody in
Letters of Transit and Casablanca. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, but if there's somebody out in the chat that actually knows exactly what a bearer bond is, if you want to like tell us, but I know it has something to do with like it's like essentially like a negotiable piece that it's like it always counts as like the same amount as when you bought it. Like I guess it moves with inflation or something. I'm not really 100% certain. I'm always right though, I swear. But
I was told
So
there's emo math.
It's a bond that's unregistered. It's not assigned to any individual.
okay,
So it can be it's transferable.
there we go.
So
Okay,
it's basically
it's just money then,
like
essentially.
money,
cash,
essentially.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's a debt security that then is issued to people. Yeah, and it's transferable. So that's why. It's
Yeah,
basically,
I've never
it's same as
dealt with
money.
any. I am in about as far away from the financial district of financial industry as you can get. So
No, I studied finance in high school. Actually, that was my specialization. It was finance and economics, which I don't know it's why I know bearer bonds, but
so a bearer bond, like I guess the old joke about something being like a blank check with your name on it. It's actually a blank. It's a check that has your name on it that has an amount but no name on it. Essentially.
Yeah, chat's got this all sorted out for us.
There we go. This is why I love it. Its name is Bond, bearer bond.
nice one, Gord. And so yeah, so I mean, every time we see the safe, they're playing "Ode to Joy," of course, Symphony Number 9. I think it's Beethoven. Is it? No. Yeah, it is. I guess.
Yeah,
I'm glad
'cause
you
you-
clipped this frame. Oh, go ahead, Lance.
You get the reprise of that later in that more kind of joyous, over the top version when it opens. But here it's like that really restrained, moody kind of combined with the soundtrack.
Yep.
Vibe works really well. That's an exact replica of Drinker's New Safe as well.
That's where the booze is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where he keeps the whiskey. So
Yeah.
And yeah, I
it's a
do
lot
like
of
it.
bottles of it.
Whiskey and super chat proceeds.
I like it because it kind of gives you this weird Pulp Fiction, what's in the briefcase type of element, because
Yeah,
it just
mystery
adds to that
box.
mystique. Yeah, exactly. It's great, and it's a good reveal. And I do have another shot of when it opens that I'll talk about. That just accompanies this piece, which is pretty good. And so what we do learn before we move on, what we do learn is the fact that you need to. I think there's 6 locks, and one of them needs to be taken out by a citywide blackout because the power can't. It can be from a local power outage.
There are
So yeah,
local
mechanical
locks,
basically he says. Oh,
and
go
then
on.
there's one electromagnetic lock, which is electric powered. But yeah, he drills through the 6 mechanical ones and says, that's all I can do.
Yep. And of course, John McClane has pulled the fire alarm, ladies and gentlemen, and the cops are on the way because hey, fuck it, quick response. It's the Nakatomi Tower.
Oh, in LA, absolutely 911 will be right there to help you out.
But yeah, the cops get diverted away because what was it? Because they told the security guy downstairs to call and say that it was a false alarm. Which do you think that they would actually come by at least or not in real life?
No, probably not. Actually, yeah. If they called and said, "Hey, is this false alarm?" Whatever, especially and depending on how big
They wouldn't
the
even been
fire
that
department
close
was.
yet. In
Yeah, they
LA.
would not.
They do show up
would have.
very quick. Yeah,
Yeah, they would have
He's-
probably
he's-
still been
he's got-
miles away.
He's got that line where he says, "Give them the building code number." That's the code number that you have set up with the fire department to cancel any false
My
alarms.
parents had an alarm system on their house, and if you called and had the password, which would be like a code number or whatever, the cops don't show up. So
all right.
I can vouch for that.
All right.
Don't leave that on the door for the intruder to read.
Could you imagine if it was just that easy and that was just the end of the movie right there? Just, hey, I'll just pull this fire alarm and it's all over.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that would be a shit script. So let's. One thing I like about this sequence coming up with this guy, bearing in mind he's the first henchman, is
Jeffrey Dahmer,
and he doesn't look. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. He doesn't
He
look.
really does look like
too tough. But man, the fight between them is proper brutal.
Yeah, it is. That's one thing I love about this movie, being a fighter, watching, because like a real fight is a struggle, and every fight in this movie is a struggle, and it's a little different each time.
Yeah,
and like you can even so go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's not clean, it's not choreographed per se. It's a meaty, grabby, just fight for your life struggle like a real fight would be. Yeah, it comes off that way.
By the way, Pulse fire alarm. Movie ends. Brought to you by Ruin John.
Oh, Ruin's Advent.
But yeah, like the fact that he gets run into like the studs that are sitting there and they break and they fall down the stairs. It just everything about it just feels so gritty and real.
Well, John's got the drop on him here, and he hits.
You'll
him
not kill
gun,
me.
I think, and he still loses. He still loses his advantage, which is
I
real.
mean, let me play the clip so that we watch the fight first. If you guys want. Man, Bruce Willis's stunt double is so visible in a lot of this movie. It is crazy.
I don't mind.
Can you play that one more time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did see it. I did see it properly.
But you really have to look for it though. It's so well edited and the angles are so well covered. It's really perfect editing. And
as soon as you said that, I was like, we might as well watch it again and look for it.
When his head is down, you could tell, but you have to look for it.
It's because of the I think it's because of Bruce Willis's hair and head shape. That's the only thing that really you can tell when it's there. I think it's because his hair is a bit different than his stunt double's hair. So since like the head is the first thing I noticed, that's like I just see it instantly. But yeah, as you guys said, I think that this fight is fantastic because not only is it the first fight of the film, but it shows a lot of things about why Die Hard is basically different from your average 80s action movie, because McClane clearly isn't invincible. He clearly didn't dominate this fight whatsoever. He was being ragged around, and he couldn't even win the fight on his own accord. The stairs had to kill the Dahmer for it.
Yeah, I would argue that he was actually, I mean, he had the drop on him. He was on his back, which is literally the most dominant position you could have in a fight. And he was still getting ragdolled and overpowered. This is Heinrich? I don't even remember which one it is, but it's a Carl's brother. Dahmer. I mean, even though he might not look particularly menacing, he's actually significantly larger than Bruce Willis. So like the fact that he was ramming him into the wall, if it was anything more than drywall, would have probably killed him because his head got smashed right into it.
Yeah. I love that all of that is happening too on a real set with real construction materials. None of this is breakaway glass or furniture made out of balsa. I mean, they are smashing each other into all sorts of different stuff.
There's one or two little shots I noticed last night where you can see they had like pre-cut some of the metal studs to break away. But in general, it's very meaty and real.
That's unfortunately that with the upscaling to 4K, a lot of these movies you can catch a lot of things that you didn't years ago. You just gotta work with that.
I got a fun story about this actor. So friend of mine, Chris Jones, who's also a writer director. He made his first feature film not long after Die Hard came out, and he was determined to get somebody from Die Hard in his movie. So they went after Alan Rickman, and Alan Rickman said no. So they thought, oh, well, let's get that Alexander Godunov guy. So they went after him. He said no. So like, oh shit, what about that guy that played his brother? I bet he's not doing much. And yeah, so they ended up with this guy. So he's got a main part in his film. It's called Urban Ghost Stories, the name of the movie. And yeah, he's really good in it, actually. So it was nice to see him in a completely different part. That's the only other film I've ever seen this actor in.
We have a super chat that I think is relevant now, so I'm going to do it now instead of waiting. From Mo yet again. Yet he was taking out jets in the fourth movie.
Well, don't talk to me about that film, man.
That was which one? That was Live Free or Die Hard?
Yeah, I think that's the one with this daughter that comes back, Mary Elizabeth Winston, right?
Wasn't it called Die Shit?
I don't know. The first three are solid movies. Then
I already
thought it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, number 1, 2, and 3 are pretty good for me. Yeah, so Live Free or Die Hard, and after that there was A Good Day to Die Hard that he did with I forget that dude's name. Wasn't he the one that played in Terminator? No, it was Jai Courtney.
He was from Spartacus. Yeah, Jai Courtney from Spartacus.
I thought
Live Free or Die Hard. Yep.
Jai Courtney, who is never going to be a thing, and they should just stop trying to make him a thing.
Isn't his son in the last Die Hard as well? Bruce's
yeah, that's
son?
it. He's played by Jai Courtney. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Jai Courtney is the dude that plays Boomerang in the Suicide Squad. If you don't know.
Jai Courtney's a fine actor. He's just done some really, naff parts.
Yeah, he's hurt his career a lot with some really bad choices.
Oh, so the things we'll do for money.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it?
I was hoping Z would say something like that.
By the way, first damage to the vest there you can see in this shot.
The blood. And of course, after the fight, as we were talking about before, he loots. So he gets a machine gun, he gets mags, a lighter, and a walkie-talkie or talkie-walkie. I keep mixing those up. Walkie-talkie?
It's a CB radio. That's all you need.
Yeah, it's a radio. Yeah.
Walkie-talkie is better. It sounds nice.
Because you fake ID that must cost a fortune.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so he does what's it called? So right now we get a glimpse of Theo that's drilling into the safe, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Hurt Z's career. You want to confirm or deny that, Z?
I've made some questionable choices, but I've been in the media industry for over 50 years.
That's a good point.
And I'm always bailing him out too. So
actually, I wanted to point out when we got to this scene that this is very retro Artoo of him to like use these drills to try and open these safes and stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
it's like if R2D2 was a real thing, it would be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna drill into stuff.
R2's not real.
if it was in our galaxy.
Yeah.
I like this sort of mechanical brute force approach to things. I don't know. I'm just a gearhead kind of.
Yeah, no, I like it too because I think that it's crazy because you would think that a vault with that much security, it just gives it, how would I say this? It gives it much more intensity to the audience. It shows it that it's not something that you can just hack and say, oh yeah, I'm in. That's it. It's like no, we literally have to fucking drill this thing for hours on end.
Pushing, yeah.
Yeah, it's one more piece of equipment that is very clearly built for purpose and was brought along very specifically by the attackers, by the terrorists, thieves,
to drill something like that.
To drill that. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's just one more thing. We keep seeing all of these things that they very, very specifically prepared,
and also
for what they're doing. And they fit it all in that truck along with the ambulance. Yeah.
And anybody who's ever used an industrial strength drill on metal knows that it takes a long time. You often need to use specific fluids that way. It doesn't overheat.
Very slow process. Yeah,
you have to go very slow. It's not something you're gonna do in 20 minutes. It's gonna take you hours to get through.
Well, Z and I know all about metal and fluids
and drilling,
and inserting things into metal.
Yeah.
So we finally get more feet, ladies and gentlemen. There they are.
That's actually Jennifer Lawrence's feet in that shot. You can tell from the hoof shape on the one on the right. Yeah.
She had the first feet.
and
yeah,
the
so
first feet.
the first feet.
First feet in an action movie.
And well, of course, Bruce Willis tries to get shoes because, of course, well, he just left the bathroom when this all started, so that's why he's in.
And his line here is bullshit because he says 9 million terrorists in the world, and I've got to kill one with feet smaller than my sister. You can clearly see this guy's feet are huge.
Dude's feet are huge.
This guy's got Andre the Giant feet right here.
But okay, so
those shoes definitely did not fit this guy.
I noticed just now, if you look on the right side of the frame, there's a piece of conduit waiting that he uses. Just after
Oh,
this.
wow. I never noticed that.
Same. Yeah, there it is.
And there's a piece of conduit being
Prop
used.
set up.
And that's like excellent attention to detail.
God, yeah, that's true. I never even noticed that. I mean, fuck yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is why we do these two-host streams so that we can
I'll
break
tell you,
down
there's-
pieces of conduit. There you are.
There's just so many little details like you pick up. Like I've never seen that before, right? Never. That's every time I watch it, I feel like there's some new little detail that I like. Oh, holy cow! I can't.
Whoever was on continuity and art direction had their fucking shit together on this movie.
Oh
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, well, he uses the elevator shaft to escape while he leaves a how would I say this? He leaves a message to Hans. He sends Dahmer's body through the elevator, of course, and I do have the reaction, so let me play the clip.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Cut off
Many ho this string.
fucking hoe and just been like, we only get 2 hoes around here.
Yeah.
For shame. For shame.
And then, of course, this is John McClane in the elevator shaft, and he's just writing down all the names that he can hear Hans saying, and of course, he sees that Hans is the leader, so he underlines his name.
And also a credit
go ahead.
to how good of a cop or a detective that McClane is that he grabbed a Sharpie and stuck it in his pocket. Very
Yeah,
smart.
and it shows it's a battle of wits as much as it is brawn, right? He's trying to figure, okay, how many of them are there? How many of them I taken out? What are their names? What are their positions?
I just show you, I have that same Sharpie right here.
Oh wow! Hey,
Oh, an actual prop.
that's got to be worth how much, Lance? That's amazing.
Sharpie also made this pen while we're at it, so it's
I mean, same model of Sharpie. I didn't,
Oh yes, Alex just pointed out he is a lefty. He's wearing the watch on the right, and he's writing on his left.
And he's spun it around in the like the combat style, like the tactical way to
so it wouldn't get
when using it whenever you're using a two-handed gun.
But that's Jennifer Lawrence's arm, though.
you can tell right there.
Yeah.
He's a good wax.
Oh yeah, and yeah. So I mean, he goes down the elevator shaft, which of course is kind of how would I say this? Another character in the movie, because we spend a lot of time in the elevator shafts, which is it's pretty interesting.
And
because
he really did this, by the way.
That's really him. He really did this.
Wow.
He would never let anybody do that today.
And that's one of the elevators in the actual building as well at Century City. Yeah, they had a fixed camera there, and
Jesus.
Well, imagine if that had gone wrong and it had gone too high,
Oof.
and
Done.
squashed him in the top of the. That would have been a pretty horrendous story.
It would have been the end of the movie. Die Hard, the movie that was never made because Bruce Willis died. There you go.
I remember this.
Die flat.
He literally died hard. Flattened.
This shot in 70 mil was absolutely nuts. Someone's calling me. I better mute myself.
Yeah, no worries.
Not a problem. Come back when you can.
Yeah, because of course the cameras were big at the time when you're shooting on film. So to manage to put them in these weird tight spaces, it's we don't really think about it today. But yeah, it was a big problem back in the time. And of course you've got what is this guy's name? Carl, right?
Oh,
It's Carl. Yeah.
Yep. So of course Carl, he's pretty angry. He's willing to basically alter the plan because of course John McClane killed his brother, which
He flips the table right in this scene at the very beginning. Flips the desk cover.
It's the origin of the meme.
Maybe.
Yeah, and of course
I want blood.
Yeah, I want blood. And that raises suspicion by everyone that's there because they see him pretty angry, and this is where Holly fucks up by telling Ellis that, hey, it's John, it's my husband.
Yeah,
That's probably doing all of this.
She blows it here, but under the pressure of the situation, it's excusable for
Well,
sure.
I mean, she doesn't really. I wouldn't say she blows it here because nothing she says in this scene ever really comes back to bite her. So I wouldn't say she blows anything. It's just Ellis later on, what he does, he probably would have did either way, whether or not it was, no matter what the situation was, he would have went in there and been like, I can negotiate this shit. I'm high on coke.
Well,
That's a fair argument. Actually,
yeah. He would have died either way anyways too. So well,
Yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate the fact that he didn't say that Holly was, related to John McClane. That's like one thing that I'll never give him shit for, because hey,
he does one thing right. Yeah, he doesn't give it up. Yeah.
And so so you finally get John that gets to the roof, and he uses the transmitter, of course, well, the radio, and he contacts police, which police are fucking incompetent, of course, in this movie. I don't know, man.
My favorite line.
Go ahead, say the line, man, if you know.
Oh, I was gonna say probably my favorite line is when they're like, "This is a reserved channel." He's like, "No shit, lady. Does it sound like I'm ordering a fucking pizza?"
That's great.
But you get the bureaucratic response that you would get in real life. So
I like the bit where the gunfire bursts out, and it's so loud she has to take her earpiece off.
Yeah, and
Call the FCC. Come arrest me.
Also, I've got a question about this gunfight coming up that I'd like resolved. So there's a cutaway at one point to the tower in the distance, and I think you can see the flashes of the gunfire going off in that shot.
You can,
yeah. That's what I always thought, but I wondered whether other people.
But from a distance, because that particular building does have a helipad on top of it, which has a lot of lights up there. People from a distance probably would just confuse that with the flashing lights of the helipad.
Yeah, no, I got that, but I like the fact that they included those in when you cut to that shot, and it's when Al, what's his name, Al comes out of the store with his donuts, his Twinkies. And he takes the call and he looks up to the building, and that's when you can see the gunfights actually going on. You can see the flashes on top there. Nice touch, that.
Great details in this whole movie.
Yeah,
I mean, but like police in this case, I think that this is actually quite realistic, because you'd be surprised the amount of times police actually fucks up when someone is calling for help.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised personally at all.
Oh yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of how would I say this, true crime stuff like this, and a lot of the situations are just incompetent people over on the operating systems. It is horrible, the amount of people that die just because they're like, oh, either it's just a prank call, or either they don't really how do I say this? They don't really care that much about what's going on the other end of the line. Yeah, they're just like, oh, fuck it. And I mean, also the fact that these guys are policewomen and they're working there, wouldn't you know what gunfire sounds like through a radio specifically? Because it probably isn't the first time that they're hearing this, which is why I'd say that only sending one officer for me seems kind of weird.
This is Los Angeles, so all the other officers are actually preoccupied with the other 20 gunfights that are going on. And they're given
go ahead, Z.
As far as they're concerned, they've already had one fake fire call tonight.
Yes, that is true.
So there's nothing to convince them that this is anything other than a hoax.
And like late 80s LA, if I would assume every phone call had gunfire in the background. So it's probably pretty standard for her. She probably just hears it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and of course, there you go. A Christmas tree's in the back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Christmas.
I was
Christmas
about to
time.
mention
I'm gonna check in on our poll while you mention that.
That's worth at least another 10% on the It's a Christmas.
We're at 81%. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So after that, you've got Bruce Willis that kind of gets attacked on the roof, and of course, he's just fighting for his fucking life at this point.
This whole fight sequence is so well done.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's
really
fantastic.
Editing, everything,
and even the fact of realism. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I know that cashier from something, and I can't quite pinpoint it.
Yeah, that's
Ron Jeremy.
not cheap.
Yeah.
It's
Don't want to
probably.
admit that I recognize him, but yeah.
Mario.
Yeah, Mario standing.
I'll just look it up while we're you guys.
It's Kip Waldo is the name of the actor. He was in Streets of Fire. Yeah,
that's probably not what I'm thinking of, but I'll look him up real quick and see
and Brewster's Millions is the other thing I've seen him in.
Streets of Fire is underrated.
Yeah, he's no longer with us, sadly. But only passed in 2021, which, considering how many Twinkies he's also had, is a pretty good innings for him.
Yeah, maybe he just, you know what? None of these things are jumping out at me. It might be that he just looks a lot like another actor or something.
Well, he looks a bit like one of the Cheek and Chong guys, but it's not him.
I quite like how the Twinkie thing plays through, not just in this movie. He's surrounded by Twinkies.
Yes, and Reginald Vell Johnson has said that the Twinkie thing went past the movies into his real life. And people would literally run up to him, like see him in the street on his car and run up and like throw Twinkies at him in his car.
I think this one's relevant now. I held on to it for a while. Yes. Mo is very generous today. I want to say thank you, Mo. I'd like to think that this movie is connected to Family Matters because Reginald Vell Johnson is a cop in both. When I was a kid, I legitimately thought they were the same. Like I thought I was like now obviously I know that they're different characters, but when I was a kid I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It's the same guy, same actor, both cops. This must be a movie that's connected to that.
Yeah, and of course, while all of this is happening and he gets called in because he needs to go check out the Nakatomi Tower, not Plaza, Nakatomi Tower. Bruce Willis is still out here fighting for his fucking life, of course. And man, the way that they sell him actually being scared is great. I think that Bruce Willis does a fantastic job. That wouldn't have been done, as we said before, of course. They wanted, your everyday man. And I don't think that having, Schwarzenegger or someone else like that in this role would have.
And it plays nicely with the cowboy theme because a cowboy is always stoic and fearless, but Bruce Willis is just a guy who's dealing with an unrealistic situation.
Also, Schwarzenegger would have got stuck in that air vent and never would have got out. So that whole plot line wouldn't have worked right.
Another one of my favorite lines is I don't remember exactly where it's played. It's somewhere around here when he goes, "Come out to the coast, we'll have a few laughs." Like that whole thing.
It's when he's in the vent,
When he's in the vent, he gets this is the best use of a shoulder strap for a weapon that I've ever seen.
He's very, very
resourceful.
Yeah, resourceful. That's what I was looking for. Resourceful with what he has at his disposal.
And also, if you had cast somebody like Schwarzenegger in this role, he would have not been cool with showing weakness that Bruce Willis shows as an actor. He's confident enough to not be on top of everything all the time.
I think my character would do this differently.
Right.
Whereas I can understand where you're coming from with that. McTiernan was able to get to put him in a movie where he got the shit kicked out of him by the Predator too. Don't forget that. So it's like,
but the Predator is the Predator. That's different.
Yeah, but still,
he can say it wasn't a human. It was a beast from outer space. It's like, that's pretty much it.
It's a formidable opponent, but you never really feel like he's weak in that role. He might be overpowered. But McClane here is just fallible. He gets hurt. He gets fucking.
He's just running.
He's hard. He's hard on himself.
Yeah,
he's talking to himself all the time. Like, oh, you really screwed that up. Oh, great job. You did it again.
Did you know who they had to offer the role to first?
Oh gosh, yes.
Somebody in the chat before said something about Frank Sinatra. Is that who you're talking
about?
It
was, yes, because they'd adapted the first book, The Detective.
Yeah,
they were contractually obliged to offer to it
because they commissioned the next book. They commissioned that book and hopefully a screenplay from the original film, The Detective. He wanted that, so they had to offer it to him first. Then they offered it to like half of Hollywood before they got it. To...
It would have been a different film with a 70-year-old Frank Sinatra.
It really would.
I wouldn't mind Frank. Frank is my favorite singer. So plus he was good in Ocean's 11 and a lot of his other movies.
Jay, Diabolical Studios presents. There you go.
Good to see you, Jay. While we're mentioning the book, you want to have a quick look at the cover there, guys. There you go.
Yep.
That's the 70s one, and it was two books combined. So it's The Detective and this.
See, I never realized that Die Hard was based on a book actually until I was doing the description. So
Look how
very,
similar
very
that,
different
that
book.
is to Towering Inferno, the original poster as well.
wait, keep that up, keep that up.
Yeah,
there we go.
Very
so
nice.
Z, you've got this right, Z. The special edition of that.
He is offline.
Oh, is he off? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, he's gone for a maintenance check. Get those batteries and camshafts reinserted.
Oh, yes, I'm fully reactivated after pouring myself a nice pint of lube.
I just showed my special edition of Towering Inferno on DVD there. I was saying you've got that. I assume.
Yeah, and yeah, so at this point, he's basically just running for his life. He can't really fight because he does have to conserve ammo. He does have to think about that as well, which something that the Hans Gruber squad, since you can name them terrorists, the Hans Gruber squad really has to, like, they don't really have to focus on that because they just brought a fuck ton. And at this point, Carl is just out for blood 100%. You've got Hans that's on the radio telling him that the police is on the way, so they shouldn't be shooting. And I think he turns off the radio.
He shuts off.
Yeah, he literally reaches back and clicks it without even looking. It's like, I love when characters do like those no look
no, unnecessarily cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so at this point you've got John McClane that has to go through the venting system because the elevator shaft, I think he said, I think it's because the elevator wasn't at his level, if I remember correctly, that he couldn't go through there. I'm not too sure.
That shot, by the way, that's the same way they do the that shaft look in the Star Wars movies, with the first one, where you're in the Death Star and it looks like it goes down. It's all done with mirrors and stuff.
Force perspective.
That's actually probably only about 10 feet, and then you got this nice.
And of course, the bottom there is a bag for the stuntman. Yeah, that's been painted.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, that is smart. Yeah, and of course, he uses his gun as a
nice still.
It's great.
He holds it with his gun, but hey,
that's pretty much how everybody's face would look in this situation.
Yeah.
It's also the fact that he's there, he's cursing, he's like, what the fuck am I doing? It's like,
why am I doing this?
Yeah, I would think that too. And
he does that the whole movie too. One of my one of the early lines he does that is like, why didn't you stop them, John? And then he's like, because you would have been dead too, asshole.
I love the internal dialogue that he's voicing. It's great.
So yeah, I do have the clip of him trying to go down the venting system. I mean, you definitely die in real life. Nobody would probably do that.
Oh, sure, but yeah, we're gonna give John a pass because
the aluminum of vent shafts is extremely slippery. So it would have been, and he's sweaty, bloody. The odds of him catching that are slim to none.
Oh yeah, well of course that particular shot, that was a botched take. The stuntman was supposed to jump from that one vent to the one that he reaches for. And in this shot, he misses and falls. And they really liked how it looked, him falling a little bit further. They said, well, what if we pick that up? And we'll show him grabbing onto a lower vent. We'll get to use that. So that stuntman actually went all the way down to the bottom and hit the bag. Like he
was actually stressed out. That's why they kept it in the movie. They were like, fuck yeah, this looks authentic. It's like, because it fucking was.
There's a lot of that.
And has anybody here besides me fan of Mythbusters?
Yep, I like
that.
Do you remember the episode where they showed that it would be impossible to stealthily crawl through a vent shaft?
Yes.
It sounds like a thunderstorm in your in the building.
It's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, there's definitely something in the vents. I don't know what the fuck this is. And Dark Hour, this is your scene. It's like, come out to the coast, give me a few laughs.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah,
man. And of course, the lighter that was set up before that he took from Jeffrey Dahmer.
There it is. Yeah, and there was a meme that went around a few days ago on Twitter, I guess, but it's a photo of a vent cover and says, "This Christmas, don't forget to leave a pack of smokes, a pair of shoes, and a lighter for St. John McClane."
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it was funny.
And an MP5 with 6 magazines.
If you can, yeah.
If possible, yeah. And of course, there he is, Carl, shooting the vents because he knows that he went through the vents. But man, this is actually a really good and tense scene that I really do enjoy because you have him going there inside the vents. Not only do you know that John McClane is right next to him because the gunshots, well, they're like, what, 30 centimeters next to his body, I guess. Then after that, Carl is just there slowly pressing up against the vents, which, of course, you'd get found out and shot instantly.
Yeah, and John right here cocks the gun very quietly and starts pointing it down through the grill because he knows he's about to get shot. And
I like the way that they subtly established this hierarchy as well by giving Carl a different gun from
I was
everybody
literally
else.
about to say the same thing.
Yeah, and one that he takes
Yeah,
real
very
care
exotic.
to put together, you know, when they're going up the air, all of that, and it's just like, and
Well,
it works so beautifully here when he prods the ventilator.
It's almost like he basically breaks out the secret stash gun because he's pissed off. Like,
Yeah, he's like, fuck it, this is the killer gun. And,
I'm just going to assemble my angry gun.
Yeah, this is the business gun.
It's the one he's been keeping in his inventory. He doesn't have a lot of ammo for it, so he's saving it for the boss level, you know.
And Smilex pointed it out. You can see the emblem of the Nakatomi emblem on the door over there. Which
that emblem, it not only does it pop up a bunch of times in the shots, but it's actually really well designed because the center of it is a Japanese crest.
It's based on a samurai helmet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Based on a samurai.
Yeah.
But did you know that they had an earlier version of it that was rejected that looked like a swastika?
God. I'm not shocked it was. Not shocked.
They just didn't realize until they kind of like lined it and somebody was looking at it.
Can you imagine accidentally making a swastika? Like, could you imagine us be like showing up and being like, "Hey, here's our design," and people are like,
what the fuck is that?"
I just want a brief history lesson, everybody.
Yeah,
good.
Definitely a symbol that's been used a lot in the East, but it has some other meanings too. Perhaps we don't want to use that.
Z, you said something in there.
Yes, but we've built all the miniatures as well. We've got it everywhere, guys.
The production designer for this film was from Oklahoma, so just saying.
So you're saying his history book probably wasn't too up to date.
He did the Winds of War, actually, funnily enough. So, and Space Hunter and Red Dawn.
I love Space Hunter.
Nice. I love Space Hunter. Very underrated movie.
And so finally, Sergeant Al is on the way, and he's trying to find out what's happening. And,
there's actually a nice little detail that they do. They get when they call him, they say code 2, which is a slow approach. It's a slow approach without your alarms, without your sirens, everything. It's very much just like a standard, like make it look like just a regular drive to look.
Yeah. A 1 would be it's not urgent. And a 2 is urgent, but you just need to check it out. 3 would be go in with sirens. So yeah, it just kind of make sure you get over there quick. Just get over there. You don't need to make a deal out of it.
Does code 4 mean going with M60 and flak jacket on?
I don't know. I don't think there is a code 4.
Code 4 means that nobody needs anything. It's no further assistance needed.
Right.
So while this is going on with Sergeant Al, Bruce Willis is once again fighting for his fucking life.
Put that fucking gun down! Put the gun down! Next time you have a chance to kill someone, don't hesitate. Thanks for the advice.
Such a good scene. What choreography, man.
Yeah.
So you did cut out the best line, though. No more tables.
Where you going, pal?
Hulk hates stairs.
There's a
this is-
great
go ahead.
outtake in that scene, you know, where he's smashing the chair against the window.
Yes.
And John McTiernan goes, "Hit it again, Bruce," and he's smashed it so many times with the chair. The chair
They
falls
broke the
apart.
first chair.
Yeah, and he's like, "With
Well,
what?"
Yeah. So what I did want to point out in that scene in particular, so they wanted John McTiernan wanted the weapons specialist on the movie. He wanted the blanks that they were shooting to be really, really dramatic. So they overpacked those rounds. They
Right.
were really, really loud, and they
Yeah.
had a huge dramatic flash that would come out. And so when they were filming this, there were a bunch of the actors that had hearing damage
I saved
because
this for
of
when this was mentioned.
yeah. So yeah, he said different numbers along the way, but yeah, from that particular scene, because he was trapped under the table, there was like plexiglass around to protect from like shrapnel coming from from different things, and so he said, yeah, I lost like 2/3 of his hearing in one ear
It just
from that
creates
scene alone.
creates like an echo chamber.
Yeah, it's just an echo chamber, just
Yeah, it's
pounding his
horrible.
ears. So yeah, that was yeah, and I mean you can tell even some of the other actors when they're firing their weapons, they're kind of flinching because it's insanely loud.
The squib when Heinrich gets shot, you know, with his white jumper is really effective as well. And that's one of the reasons real bullet hits, you know, the way they used to do them old school, so much better than CGI. People getting shot CGI style. There's a real art form to doing good squibs, and that's a perfect example right
It's
there.
better for the actors. It's better for the visuals.
Yeah, I mean, safety precautions basically fucked up the action industry. That's what we have to say. Because hey, we could do this shit before. Now you can barely do it. I think even contractually,
You also need to get it like so. There are two reasons really: is you need to get it right the first time because resetting up squibs and stuff is annoying.
Right.
And number two is there are some safety, like real muzzle flash can be dangerous. Obviously, the sound we just spoke about can be dangerous.
Insurance would just never
insurance
cover it.
purposes, and of course, there's several instances of people of something being in the barrel of the gun and the blank actually firing it at people.
Yeah,
Most famous being Brandon Lee.
Yeah. Well, even blanks, like even from something as simple and small as like a starter gun for a race, they discharge. They spit out gunpowder, and you can blind somebody.
There's a lot of pressure coming out of that. There's a massive pressure wave coming out of into that gun, and if you are too close to it, it will hurt you. It doesn't have to be a projectile.
Yeah, just the debris from the cartridge, the gunpowder and whatever.
I bet he was glad to have that table in front of him.
I had highlighted it before. Somebody, I forget who said it, but somebody said tables, which are notoriously bulletproof until they're not.
That's true.
It's a shame to ruin that beautiful table. I'll just say that.
So now we've got the stockbroker who was a bit depressed, jumped out the window.
Hey, well,
some stockbroker probably.
Welcome to the party, pal. Are you back on the business now? Now, goddammit, now!
Oh, all right.
That is one of the
so much.
Argyle being completely oblivious to everything
Yes,
that's going on.
that scene tells you
Love
so
that
much
scene.
in such a short period of time. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like if that is the perfect scene for where it is in the movie, because if you came in and didn't see what was up to this point, you now are established as to what has happened up to this point.
Yeah.
You're just like it's like it's
It's
really
just
good like
everything-
leap up back in.
Yeah, everything just steps up a notch. He hits that car,
I agree with Z.
and
The
the
best
whole
part,
movie
by
changes.
far the best part. I agree with
Oh,
Z.
yeah.
Is that
And-
Argyle is just listening to his music,
Yeah.
talking to his, I
His
guess,
girl,
girlfriend.
probably. Yeah.
And
Talking to his two hoes.
his
Yep.
two hoes. His boss thinks he's off to Vegas.
Well, this frame right here, it's a great example of how well balanced the tone is and the humor amongst the chaos. The scene before this is Al, our cop, panicking, guns are going off, there's a body on the hood, and then it cuts to this guy and this face.
Isn't he arguing about getting a table at some restaurant?
Yes, he's trying to get.
I know the owner. I can get us a table at.
He's trying to prove to his girl.
Wolfgang Puck. It's a Wolfgang Puck reference.
Bit of a trivia note is his assistant, who we only see briefly later. She says that line about the family are right here in LA. That's played by Tracy Reiner, who is Rob Reiner's daughter, director of Stand By Me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
When Harry Met Sally. Yeah.
Wow.
So she's popping up in lots of little bit parts in films around this time, League of Their Own, and a few other things.
So we get introduced to Richard Thornburg, of course, who's the journalist and who's an asshole. Basically, just that's almost all you need to know.
Only ever played an asshole in Hollywood. I'm pretty.
I guess so. Yeah, it's true.
He did kind of get typecast after Ghostbusters,
and this man has no dick. That's what I knew.
Before we move on for that last scene that we skipped, it has personally my favorite quote from the movie, which is "Welcome to the party, pal." I absolutely love just how the end of that scene. Welcome to the party, but just perfect. Love
this one was kind of already said, but yes, it's Walter Peck from Ghostbusters. Mo, once again with you're far too kind today.
It's not the guy who he owns the bar in The Simpsons. It's nice of him.
Yes.
It's nice of him to step into chat and
He's very lonely around the holidays.
And of course, at this point, the movie does become everyone talking through radios, which kind of can get confusing with the screen grabs. But hey, I'm here to narrate it. And of course, at this point, this is McClane that's calling Hans, which of course he knows most of the names of the crew, which the crew are kind of scared of because they're like, how the fuck does he know this? And it's like, yep, he's just in the vents. He's the boogeyman, basically scaring you and fucking up all
they
your
go
plans.
from being on top and being hyper informed to being subverted by a guy that they didn't plan on. It's fucking up their plans, and they had it perfectly planned.
They went from being the ones that had all the information, and now they don't have the information.
To going to playing Jeopardy, where the scores can really change.
And so here he does more. How would I say this? He does more looting, of course, and he gets more mags. He gets some C4, and he gets the detonators, which of course are very relevant to the plot.
Where are my detonators?
And I think this is where they talk a bit about westerns and how Bruce Willis, I think Hans tells John that he feels like John Wayne, but he says more of a
Roy
Rogers.
I really like those sequin shirts.
Shirts, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Look at the color of his shirt now.
I was gonna say, look at it. Look at his undershirt now, man. That's already gotten.
At least it's gone to green camo status now. So if he stands next to the Christmas tree now, no one will see him.
Yeah, and of course, this is where he says another iconic line.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That's so good.
I forget what the censored version is for this one, but the TV censored version for the second one is Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Mr. Falcon.
Why Mr. Falcon?
Mr. Falcon. Yeah.
I'll look it up. I'll see if I can find the.
Does that mean that they edited over all the Hanses in the film and to Mr. Falcon?
Well, no, that was the second one. Was the one that they had the Mr. Falcon. I'm trying to remember what it was for the first one.
There we go. Yippee-ki-yay, melon farmer.
Melon farmer.
Moisture farmer.
Oh yeah.
And so at this point you've got Richard Thornburg. Well, I'll just call him Thornburg. And so Thornburg, what he wants is a news van, of course, to go on site directly, because since he was listening into the police radio on the other still that we had, he wants to be the first on scene. And of course, we get introduced to the news anchor in the back, who's I don't even. It's kind of humorous the way that they inject him in. He doesn't need to be in the movie, but he's there, and it's fun.
It's a
especially the
great
elevator
dynamic
ride.
between the two of them because this conversation is going like 3-4 directions at once because they're about to go on live with the news. So great stuff.
All right, Smilex, this man has no dick. That's it. There you go.
I think somebody said that earlier today.
But Smilex asked me to say it, so I have to, alter representation over here. Of course, and yeah, so he finally heads down, and at this point you've got so at this point you've got 3 locks down in the vault, and I think there's 4 more, if I'm not mistaken.
There's 6 mechanical locks, and then there's the electromagnetic lock. It's
Yeah,
a 7.
so 3 more. Yep.
So according to a Reddit post, which is the only place I could seem to find it, the censored clean dub for the original Die Hard was Yippee-ki-yay Mother Father.
What the how does that make any sense?
Yeah. I can't 100% confirm that because it's literally just Reddit is notoriously unreliable. But that doesn't seem like something somebody would lie about for no reason.
And for some reason,
4chan, I'm sure.
For some reason, it sounds strangely more offensive as well.
Yeah, it does seem a little weirder.
And so so at this point you've got Al that's contacting John, and John is giving him all the information that he knows. So he says that there are about 30 hostages. They've got some missiles. They got some C4. They're European, and he can tell because of the fake passports, because he can spot what does he say specifically?
Spot as fake ID.
He says they're well funded because I've seen enough fake IDs to know how much this would cost.
And also they have luxury clothes brands and all, like everything that he mentions, the cigarettes, it's all expensive stuff.
And it's a callback to the suits because we're always talking about, who's wearing what suit and everything. It's just a great little theme.
Yeah, and of course the fact that he can point out the fake IDs is what makes Al think that he's a cop as well. So that's pretty good.
It also makes
yeah, go ahead.
It also makes the deputy chief or the deputy whatever think that he's a bartender.
So, this will come back again with Vernon.
Yeah.
Dwayne T. Robinson, LAPD deputy chief.
And he tells him to call him Roy, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess all the Roy Rogers stuff came from a talk that Bruce Willis had with the writer when they were talking about writing scenes for him, and they kind of were talking about TV shows that they watched and stuff like that when they were growing up.
Yeah, probably.
So he threw it into the script.
Yeah, and I mean it works fine because you don't want to give him the name as well. So at least it's a way of connecting to your audience, because throughout the film they do several other references to actors. I think they mention Schwarzenegger. I don't know if you mentioned Stallone, but it's kind of in. Oh well, have happy trails, Mr. Brown, on the cycling.
I think he just got done cycling, but
don't go over the front of the handlebars.
And yeah, so it's a good way to connect to your audience, that you're telling everyone that this is kind of grounded in the world where you are. It's kind of as if you watch a movie today and they're referencing all the stuff that you watch. It connects you a bit more to the film. So I think it's pretty good. And of course, it's in LA, so this is probably quite realistic, I guess. And yeah, so we've got
there's Vernon.
Yes, we'll just call him Deputy Chief Vernon. That's he's locking us up for the rest of our natural born lives.
What was that ruckus? Could you describe the ruckus, sir?
Yeah.
Also, another actor that is just always played assholes.
McClane, that's another week's detention.
Yeah,
it's like he has to play some sort of like disconnected authority figure in everything he's in. It's weird.
Yeah, that's actually true.
He just
right actor.
If I remember correctly, I think it was Roger Ebert actually ended up giving this movie a bad review.
He
and
did.
One of the things that he did not like was this character and the way he was treated.
I mean, he was a dick.
He is.
I have to say, I was a big fan of Roger Ebert when I was younger, and I actually saw Ebert and Scorsese do a live talk one time. But looking back and watching all of Ebert's stuff, he's not that good. And
No.
Siskel was always the bad guy on that show, but
Yes.
Ebert has some bad takes on stuff, man. A lot of bad takes.
Barry Norman, who was the big UK like TV equivalent at the time, I waited to see what his review of this was going to be, and he gave it a great review. So the man could spot talent.
And, well, at this point in his career, Bruce Willis had only been in sitcoms, right, or some sitcoms or stuff like that.
Moonlighting, yeah.
And wine cooler commercials.
Wine cooler commercials, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bartles and James wine coolers. He did like these weird fake jazzy 80s things where he'd like play harmonica or whatever. And
oh god.
Yeah, the number of actors.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, the number of actors in this film where it's their first film. It's astounding. I mean, you got Reginald Bell Johnson.
I was eventually going to
Alan
ask
Rickman.
Mr. Brown, by the way.
Yeah.
He just jumped out.
Yep, of course.
He also managed to negotiate himself a £5 million paycheck for this movie.
An unheard of $5 million
Completely unheard
paycheck.
of. That had to be signed off by the Fox president Rupert Murdoch himself. Obviously, before he jumped the boat.
Bruce has got a hell of an agent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess he convinced him that he was going to be doing a whole bunch of the stunts himself. He was taking on a lot of risk to do the film, and so he eventually got the $5
Well,
million.
it was also because he had to shoot it at the same time as Moonlighting, so he was basically going to be doing a day job and a night job because it was majority was night shoots.
Yeah.
So not a lot of sleep. Bit of a Michael J. Fox scenario.
Yeah, with Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Didn't it end up though that Moonlighting ended up going on hiatus shortly because
because his
pregnant.
co-star met uninspired when he went back in time with his time machine. There was a baby, and so it worked out for Bruce Willis. He got to sleep in during the day, and
Z, did you say he became his own father?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a new movie coming out soon.
I Am My Dad.
It's called Die Another Day Tomorrow. Yesterday.
But yeah, so at this point in the movie, you have Holly that came in to see Hans, and she requests moving, I think, the pregnant woman to a couch, but Hans disagrees, and of course he decides to move a couch to them, which of course shows you
smart call. Yeah,
exactly. And of course she also asked that people should start going in groups in the bathroom, which he accepts without any issue, which is normal, of course.
Yeah, Ellis would have cracked his pants about 5 times by now with all the cocaine he'd been doing. So.
Well, during this scene, which is nicely tense and whatever, and there's a little power struggle between the two of them. There's a lot of eye play because she's looking at the photo that's face down on the desk, but trying not to. And then Hans is sort of looking around like, what are you looking at? What's going on?
Yeah.
He doesn't trust her, of course.
He spots the other photos without Willis in.
Yeah.
Doesn't pick up on the one that's
with her and the kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's, of course, we pick up on that later.
Yep. And then, of course, there you have Argyle just chilling. It's this time that he actually realizes that the entire building has been taken by, terrorists, by Gruber Corp. That's what I would call them. And of course, his reaction is absolutely priceless to me. He's just like, what the fuck? It's like, no shit. You've just been chilling on your way to Las Vegas.
He told his boss he was driving to Las Vegas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The cavalry is here, ladies and gentlemen. There they
For
are
what
outside.
fucking good they are. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you'd be you probably won't be surprised the amount of times law enforcement has actually fucked up such type of situations. I won't name any because that'll probably get us like demonetized or some shit like that. But hey,
but it's true. I mean, cops are just people, and they make
the Dark Hour YouTube channel is very pro cop.
Yeah. Well, here we get to see
my grandfather was a captain. I'm very pro cop.
Yeah, my uncle was a cop, so it's cool.
So you get to see that there was a construction site next to the Fox building where they were also putting up other buildings here. So they got to use that construction site along with some of the construction that was going up there for these scenes outside the building. So, pretty cool.
Z's going off.
Z. Thank you, Z.
I'm not going to say them out loud just in case.
Yeah, you never
He is a
know. 'cause
protocol droid, after all.
YouTube is pretty weird when you say stuff like that out loud. So yeah, I've watched enough videos to know.
Well, when you say construction site, what's up with that?
Well, they were actually still working on the building, so they
but they were also building a building next door. Yeah, and so
Oh.
they got to use some of that construction. You'll see here there's you won't see it probably in the shots that you've got, but there's some cops kind of running through a building as the SWAT team's moving through, and they're running along a floor that's still under construction. That's a building next door to the Fox.
And
plaza.
headcanon, that is the planned Nakatomi Plaza, Nakatomi Tower 2 in the headcanon.
That could work.
Barbara points out in the chat that Argyle is also in the Blues Brothers. He's the kid that tries to steal the guitar from Ray Charles. Interesting.
He's also in Trespass, the Water Hill film with Ice-T.
That's some solid trivia right there.
Oh yeah.
And of course, this scene.
Go ahead.
This scene, we also get to see Al repeatedly being 2 steps ahead of the captain.
The lights.
Yeah.
It's like they're shooting the lights.
It's not in this particular one, but he has the line a little bit later where he says they have the anti-terrorist handbook and they're following it to, like, how does he say
the letter?
To the letter.
Exactly.
Yep.
When the FBI arrives. Yeah.
I wish you had this scene like live because I love the way the guy says get the car. Like he gets like aroused by it. He's like, get the car.
And that is a real World War II armored vehicle that they painted up for this and set up. And the damage it does to the rails and stuff is also real.
Yeah, that was unplanned.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't supposed to do that, but the driver couldn't quite see what he was doing, and I guess he didn't know what brakes were.
Generally, these like heavily armored like APCs were not particularly good for visibility because it didn't really matter. You just had to drive in a direction for the most part.
You're looking out of a slot, basically.
Yeah.
You're armored.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens to the armored truck.
Hit it again. Hit it again.
Hit it again.
I saved this one from before.
right.
RRTNZ. Those are surface-to-air missiles. Strange choice given they're planning to deal with a ground-based target.
Well, they know that helicopters will show up, so that's not unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's still they just had to shoot it in a direction. It wasn't really mad, but I can understand where he's coming from with that.
I do love the details of them setting up those missiles too. When they're coming up, they're nailing it into the ground and setting it off. You're like, this is some heavy duty stuff that we're dealing with. This is scary.
Do you want to see that at actual location now with the stairs? There you go. And it's amazing how smaller it looks. Here. And this is the street where it comes along.
Yeah, there's the median. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm being called out for rigging the polls, so I'm going to start a new one, everybody. And let's just prove to Hostman, Socrates, and Rennie that it is a Christmas movie. I'll do a real one.
Yeah. Hostman, call out Dark Hour because he's right 100% of the time, except when he's wrong. So
yeah, which is 99% of the time.
And so at that point, of course, that was the chief's intervention. He was sending the squads in, and they all got fucked, of course, because the chief's just incompetent at this point. The police are shown as incompetent in general. Well, it's more so their leadership that is shown as incompetent.
Their hubris, they assume that they have the upper hand and they know what's going on, and they're wrong all the way through.
Well, again, they're running the terrorist playbook. They're running the anti-terrorist playbook, which our antagonists know. They know exactly what is going to come next. That's part of the genius of it. Is they're more or less a step ahead. They know exactly what's going to happen, and we continually see that all the way up to when the vault, gets opened. We see that they already know what this playbook is going to look like. So Hans is a step ahead of everybody.
their plan is basically constructed around the playbook being used.
Exactly.
100%. So it just shows how much. Wait, Dark Hour. What was the poll? Oh, okay. Is Dark Hour correct? Oh, I'll put no because you're not correct all the time. There you go.
I know. I said. Oh, I screwed it up. It's supposed to be is Dark Hour correct on Die Hard being a Christmas movie? It's a loaded question. I couldn't even put it is.
And so yeah, so at this point you've got John McClane that wants to basically send a message. So he takes the C4 bar that he had at the beginning when he first killed Jeffrey Dahmer, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So the C4 bar that he collected there, he takes
and the detonators those are important.
and the detonators as well. Yeah, and he makes a makeshift bomb, which for YouTube purposes, I'll say this is not how you make it. This is a movie, ladies and gentlemen. Do not try
this.
This
has always bothered me because for a few reasons. First of all, do you have the clip?
Let me play first.
Geronimo, motherfucker.
So if there's one scene in the movie that I have issue with, it's this one. It's because it acts as though him stabbing the detonators into the single bar of C4 is making it more powerful, which makes zero sense. The C4,
right? And there's no.
What the hell? Keep sticking more in
either. I mean,
isn't it just more chance of it going off? I don't know how C4 works, but.
No, but yeah, like the way that he goes, like fuck it, and like as if the detonators are the things that are blowing up, and the C4 is not. The block of C4, no matter how many detonators it has in it, is going to blow up the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
The other problem I have with it is that's not how the look with all the flames and stuff is not how C4 works.
But aren't these movie detonators, which means that
they're movie detonators
and it's movie
C4 with movie C4 effects. I'll accept it.
Gotta have an explosion.
But in real life, C4 is just boom and nothing's there anymore. It's just gone.
It's a concussion device.
It's concussive force. It's not incendiary.
Now this is actually this is not Alan Rickman. This is actually a photo of Atom Gray that we've managed to capture.
No, I don't show up on film.
I'm just saying that is a rather phallic shiny object next to him.
No, that's me.
That's me. That's
me right there. We're me and Adam together. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine. I'll fess up. It's me draining fluid out of Artoo. All right.
Yeah. C-3PO is in this photo as well, but you can't see him. He's further down.
I'm on my knees.
He's on his knees.
It's just out of frame.
You should always be stirring your coffee when Z's on your knees.
Look, he owed me money. All right.
That cup's sitting on his head, actually.
Look, I consider the debt paid at this point.
And well, at this point in the movie, you've got the news that's covering it all, and they're just giving us a bit of info on Hans. It's not really important information, but it is information nonetheless to at least understand where he's coming from. And then you've got the chief that tries to scold John, but he basically gets scolded by John because what the fuck do you expect?
John tears his ass. It's great.
Yeah.
That's
you're part of the problem, so stop being part of the problem.
Exactly. Yeah, and then at this point you've all right, there we go. I was trying to click the button, but it wasn't working. But yeah, so at this point you've got Harry Ellis that tries to talk to Hans, and he basically wants to give him John, I guess is what he's trying to market.
And you think he's really gonna blow it by giving up too much.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't quite totally blow it.
Yeah,
I mean, the one thing about him is he is a professional negotiator. So, it might be in a very different situation, but he knows not to tip his hand.
Yeah,
I love Gruber's line where he goes, "That's incredible. You worked all this out already.
You're very perceptive.
You're very perceptive."
Yeah. So deadpan but the playfulness between the two of them, particularly when he's on the radio and pouring the Coca-Cola, getting the drink, and he's playing it up for Hans's benefit as well. It's really well done. It's very
And
clever.
more subtle product placement. It's not in your face at all. He just wants
Like,
to
Hans, what am I, a method actor? It's like this is radio, not television. That's what he says.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And
Hans,
if you also
Booby.
notice that before he goes in there, he takes a toot of cocaine off his hand.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
give himself a bit of Dutch courage.
Oh, doesn't he say like, do you have any Coke? And then they bring him the can of Coke over. Isn't that like a? Am I misremembering that?
No, but
I
this
think
is a
so.
nice double sort of entendre thing where he's got
Yeah.
Coke and Coke. So that's great.
Matt.
I don't think he explicitly asks for Coke at all. He doesn't even ask for a beverage. They just bring it to him out. So I mean, you have to assume that he asked.
I assume that he asked.
No, it's in the scene. It's in the scene. If you watch the scene that they bring out a drink in front of him, and he does that thing with his head where he like nods and's like, yeah, and I'm getting a drink as well, baby. It's all sort of
But
like
he doesn't
played
ask
out.
for the drink before they bring it to him. They just bring it to him. That's
No,
what I
but
mean.
and you know also the way when it's cracked open, the sound of it being poured can be heard over the radio. As well. So it's all part of the play back and forth that's going on between the terrorists, him and Willis's character. And only McClane really knows what's going to happen. So he hears the drink being poured, but he knows that the guy's being set up to be comfortable, to be killed.
Yeah.
That's what's happening there.
Hans, booby. I fucking love that line. It's out of nowhere and it's just so good. That's why I like Ellis's character. I just feel like he's incredibly entertaining to watch because I think that in a real situation, it would just be like, yeah, this dude is probably fucking great at his job. Except, well, here he dies. So sad. And of course, so what he does is he tries to say that he tries to tell Hans that he's basically friends with John, and he basically just gives him the identity, of course, and which is horrible. And at that point, you've got Hans. Oh wait, let me read Princess Fiona. Multiple set caps can add to the detonation power, but they have to be about a foot apart. This is according to a military explosives expert.
Basically what I was saying was that particular block of C4 has essentially, it's a foot long. It's basically at its maximum power.
Yeah.
But movie detonation caps only need to be 1 inch apart in order to have special abilities.
More caps, the bigger the explosion.
So Harry Ellis gets shot, ladies and gentlemen. He dies, sadly. Well, I mean, I would have liked to see him live. I wouldn't have minded seeing him live.
Nah, he deserves it.
No, he kind of has to die, really.
It's the overconfidence that kills you.
True.
And he's the only hostage that gets killed in the movie.
Well, unless you count
Joseph dies,
apart from
the CEO.
Takagi.
Yeah. The pride cometh before the fall. There it is. Yes. He fell hard. And he's not joining them again. And of course, Hans, he takes out the radio and makes sure that Bruce Willis can hear the screams of all the hostages after he kills Ellis. Which, I mean, would you guys have preferred to see Ellis's death on screen, kind of like Joseph, or is it
doesn't matter
good enough?
I agree. I think it's good the way it is. I think we know what's going to happen.
You cut to that shot, didn't
body.
you? Yeah, and the blood dripping from the chair, and
when he walks into that room, he's a dead man, and you know it, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
And we've already seen one brain get blown against a piece of glass. We don't need to see another one.
It's cool, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, it would be cool, but it's not necessary. I wouldn't call it gratuitous if they had included it, but it's like, okay, so at the beginning of the Christmas party, when everyone's sort of getting drunk and loose and whatever, somebody opens a door and there's a couple, screwing on a desk, right?
Which also had setup, by the way.
And the woman has her top off, and you get to see boobs, and it's at the very beginning of the movie. And this is an old trick that, like B movies, William Castle and all these people understood, which is if you show boobs at the beginning of the movie, people will be waiting for those boobs for the whole rest of the movie. And the same thing goes with like a gratuitous sort of explicit death. Somebody gets shot in the head at the very beginning of the movie, and so you're waiting the whole time to see more of that subconsciously. and it's a very good psychological trick.
In fairness, we do see like a hung up like centerfold.
The centerfold. Yeah. Which
Oh, yeah.
calls back to him looking at the flight attendant and the girl and the baggage claim. Yeah.
Well, that also sets up the geography too. Like when he sees that, so he
Yes.
passes that centerfold several different times, so he knows, like as he's going up and down through all of these, staircases that all look the same, or climbing through whatever, he knows. Oh, I'm on this floor. I'm where I'm.
And it gives John another real moment as a human being, as a man who hasn't had any for 6 months. 'Cause he's separated from his wife. He keeps looking at the picture, and it's great.
Hello.
So well.
I agree with Smilex.
Yeah.
Yep. I was disappointed in Florence Pugh's, but yeah.
Did you see Dex's drawing?
Yes, I did. My God.
I cannot confirm or deny any involvement with that drawing.
So the chief is basically unhappy about the situation, of course, because a hostage is dead, and I think it's that this.
Yep.
And I think it's at this point that Al gives his speech. He's kind of I forget what he says specifically, but it's like he's alone, he's scared, and whatever you think that you'll do to him after he survives this, he just doesn't care. Which of course, who would give a fuck?
Yeah.
Then I think after that he says, "I think it's time to start sniffing what you're shoveling." Shoveling shit,
which is a great line. Yeah.
Why don't you
really
wake
good
up
line.
and smell what you're shoveling?
Yeah, when Al loses his temper, he says, "With all due respect, sir."
Well, and he
Yeah,
tells
so
him, "You can leave.
respectable.
Get out of here. Leave. I don't want you here anymore." And he's like, "I'm not. I wouldn't leave for anything. Like I'm staying here."
Yeah, Al is willing to give up his job right now because he has a connection with John.
He's like, I know this guy. I can feel this guy that's up there, that he's fighting for us, and he needs help. And I'm not going anywhere. I don't care what you say. Like we need to stay here and help. So
exactly.
One of the hostages in the movie is this lady on the left, Selma Archer. That's her in Scrooge drinking the bottle on the table at the Christmas party.
So she has a typecast, is what you're saying.
The reason I mention her is she passed away 6 days ago on December the 14th.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So, but she was 98.
Well,
98, and she doesn't look that young there. So that's a good innings. And made her living playing extras all her life.
That's the first person you mentioned that died that was in this movie that wasn't
actual old
50
age
or something.
Yeah. She outlived a lot of the cast there.
The two host parade of passings.
Yeah.
And so at this point you've got Hans that's actually talking to the chief, and this is where he starts making some bullshit demands, asking him to release various terrorists from other organizations. That he's also saying, "Oh, I read it in Forbes." I think that's what he says.
Yes,
absolute bullshit. That's just to keep them busy. That's how it'll happen.
Just fronting to buy time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Then of course you've got the conversation with Bruce Willis and Al, where they kind of get, it's kind of bonding a bit. It's just these tiny moments that they have between them, because I mean, if you pay attention to the film, they don't have that many moments where they're talking to each other. I think it's 3 or 4 sparse moments.
It's
but
just
it just
a
gives you
couple
so
of minutes
much.
total. Yeah.
Gives you so much about them.
They're both alone. Al is alone with the Force downstairs, and John's obviously alone by himself up there. So it's great. Great stuff.
And they also have a way to bond us by living with their mistakes. So Al's mistake is revealed later on, of course, the fact that he killed the kid by accident, and Bruce Willis's mistake is, of course, not being behind his wife, not trusting his wife enough, and not supporting her enough. So they don't know. Well, Bruce Willis, of course, doesn't know if he'll die without being able to say sorry to his wife about those mistakes, which, of course, is a powerful moment.
Incidentally, if this film was made now, there's no way that Al's backstory would be that he shot a kid.
No, it is a little twisted that this movie is sort of a redemption arc for a cop that learns to murder again. It's a little weird.
Yes.
Yeah. There's my favorite book, Hostage, Terrorist, Hostage. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I always love whenever there's like a situation like this, whether it be you know, something like or like the what is it, the South California like shootings, and they bring on like a random expert in the situation who has no inside information whatsoever on what's happening, but they talk as if they do.
Phil on air time.
When you see him later, he seems like the most boring guest on the planet, and then William Afton's like, "Tell me you got something. Tell me you got something." They just want to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, I'll play a clip because this is like one of the funniest and stupidest lines in the movie.
Should be going through the early stages of the Helsinki syndrome.
As in Helsinki, Sweden.
Finland.
Brilliant.
It's just there for fun, and it's like, yep, it's a moment of relaxation because that's how it is on set.
It's another example of the expert tone usage in this movie, where it's like you have what Soderbergh calls rhythm and release. You crank it up, you crank it up, you crank it up, and then you dial it back just one crank, and then you keep going. And that's the opposite of what, you know, Disney and the Marvels does now, where they just destroy any actual stakes and what's going on.
Yeah, because I mean now they also now they also introduce, you know, Johnson and Johnson FBI guys.
No relation.
No relation. Yeah.
Another guy who's only played assholes.
Yep.
Well, and apparently in real life, it's not too far from one either.
I love their name. I love their names in the credits: Big Johnson and Little Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Big Johnson spelled by Grand Ella Bush, or is it Little Johnson? I forget which way. Yeah, that's his name.
I'll look up which one played who.
Yeah, Robert Davi is Big Johnson.
So Little Johnson.
Grand Bush is Little Johnson.
Grand L. Bush. Yeah, I wrote to him to try and get him on my channel via his official website. Also, zero response. I think all the Die Hard cast have got some sort of pact going on to keep us away.
We will not talk about Die Hard ever.
I mean, it's also funny because when they're on the phone, you know, without video call at the time, they're just like, "Hello, this is Agent Johnson." No, the other Johnson.
No, the
it's
other
like,
one.
The
other one.
No, yeah, it's like, yeah, no, the other one. It's like, how the fuck would the person on the phone know? It's like, come on, man.
No, you have to work out what the line is that the person on the other end says. What they probably say, "Oh, are you the good-looking one?" No, and the other one.
Big Johnson. Yes, Big Johnson.
Yeah.
Big Johnson. Like, are you the black one?
Are you Big Johnson? Yes, I am Big Johnson. I've always been Big Johnson.
And yeah, so basically the FBI is on the scene now, and they're slowly taking control of everything. And of course, we switch to Hans. That's checking the wiring on the roof. Which, oh yep, you need a miracle, and I give you the FBI. Yep, and there it is.
And Mo coming in hot again. Wait, Little Johnson is which one? Ironic.
He's also in Streets of Fire. That actor. Playing one of the four singers, you know, with the other band. So yeah, it does a great job.
And yeah, so Hans, as I said before, he's on the roof and he's checking the wiring. He left his gun, of course, because we need tension, because the barefoot man has approached. And man, you know what? Before we talk about this scene, let me just play the clip because man, his American accent is something, I guess.
Please, God, no, you're one of them, aren't you? You're one of them. Don't kill me, please.
Whoa, relax. I'm not gonna hurt you.
In fairness, his American accent's better than his German accent.
I think his American accent's pretty good, and they wrote this scene in as a way to fix that plot thing that I mentioned earlier. Only after they heard him doing an impersonation of Willis on the set.
Yeah, they asked him to try out his American accent while they were standing around kind of talking at craft services.
Yeah.
And yeah, they they really liked we've got to find a way to do that.
Yeah, and that's how they came up with
That's one of my favorite things that occasionally happens over on Brown's channel when all the Brits try to be American. It's fantastic.
I think this this scene was also filmed on Alan Rickman's first day of shooting as well.
Yeah, I believe that's true, actually.
He jumped off that ledge where he landed and he injured himself, which is why you see him sitting down in most of the scenes in this movie.
Oh, okay.
You'll see him in the rest of this in the scene too. Yeah, because he injured one of his legs, and so actually in some of these scenes, he had to use a crutch. He couldn't have the crutch in the scene, so they put a leg brace on the one good leg, and then he would stand there more or less on one leg.
No shit.
Jesus. That must have been a really high jump, or he must have weak knees. Jesus.
That used to be my my trick, because when in jiu-jitsu you get a lot of ankle, knee injuries, and when I would compete, I would put my knee brace on the opposite leg, and that way my opponent would attack my good leg instead of my bad leg. Yeah, so it's a little fun fact about Dark Hour right there.
Dark Hour trivia, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it in your calendar.
Down the line, there might be that question might come up one day.
That could be a question on next year's movie quiz.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need to sneak that one in next year, Lance.
I'll get it in there.
So the FBI is of course they're there, and man, they're really taking over the situation. And I think this is more of the set. Maybe it's the buildings that are under construction that you can see at the back, of course, because man, I just find that it brings so much to the picture. Because how much was the budget of this movie actually for the time? I mean, in comparison to what was at the time, was it big or small?
It was between 20 and 30 million.
28 million, and it made over 140 million worldwide.
Wow.
There you go.
I mean, in comparison to other action movies of that era, is that big or small? Or
at the time, that was a fair budget. That was not chump change. But the return on investment, wow, that's 5 times
incredible. Yeah, it's pretty good. Then, of course, we've got this really great scene with Alan Rickman and Bruce Willis. Just what does he say? He says, "My name is Clay." I think is the name that he uses.
Yeah.
Man,
Bill
I don't know.
Clay.
Yeah, Clay. And I mean, it's just a great scene. Of course, filmed entirely in Dutch angles, which just adds to that intensity that they're trying to give. And once you give him
somewhere, movie cynics' ears just perked up. You're like, Dutch angles, you say?
Dutch angles.
Well, also, I mean, not to put too fine of a point on it, this whole scene is off balance. The way it plays is that you think that John McClane is buying his bullshit, but really they're doing this cat and mouse thing, and John is on top of this at the end of the day. So the Dutch angle is a really good visual language for what's going on here.
And again, we get to see the battle of wits instead of just lots of punching. Although there's plenty of punching, we get to see the wits of the two of them kind of confronted, just face to face.
They're toying with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's fantastic, and of course when he tries to click the gun, it's like, do you think I'm stupid? It's like, yep, we knew it. Of course, he is a cop. He knows how to pick up on these little subtleties, and it's like, it's just such a good thing to see your protagonist and antagonist meet face to face, but it's not the final confrontation. I just think that it leads to such a great moment. Yeah, exactly. It leads to such a great moment, especially if you're a good screenwriter. You can just make it one of the most intense scenes without having any action. It's fantastic. Speaking of action, well, we've got Hans's people that ding, and well, I've got the clip, though. Let me play it.
That kneecap sequence.
Yeah, those knee squibs are brutal.
Yeah, but so good, man.
Shoot the glass.
Shoot the glass.
Shoot the glass.
Well, first he says it in German.
Yeah, and you get that moment where he's like, "Huh?" He doesn't understand why.
Like, I don't understand your fake German. Fake English.
He's like, wait, that German was really bad. I don't think.
Man, but is the dude that crashed into the glass, head first, okay? Because Jesus, man,
I don't think he's okay. I think he's very dead.
Yeah. It's not like he was hit by a lightsaber and didn't get up again next day.
Nope.
Brush it off.
No force healing, of course. And yeah, the glass, which is, of course, once again, battle of brains, because Hans just knows that he's barefoot now. which
Yes.
is probably one of his main weaknesses at this point. And well, in terms of video game speak, it would probably be his weakness if you're trying to face Bruce Willis as a
His
boss.
Achilles heel, if you will.
Ooh, wee. And yeah, so you get this this scene right after where, of course, you've got the journalist Thornburg that gets the information from his I guess it's his secretary or other journalists that were with him, and they get everything you need to know about John McClane, which once again you'd be surprised by how much journalists can actually fuck up a hostage situation. So yep, it happens way more often than you think, man. Way
He
more often
blows
than you
this. Not only is he a dick by putting his thumb on her immigration status, but he really exploits the hell out of this situation and fucks everything up.
I thought he was dickless. See what I did there?
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. There we go. Feet, ladies and gentlemen.
To
Bruce
this
Willis's
day,
beautiful feet.
Bruce Willis gets skeeved out by watching this scene.
I do as well. It
Yeah.
genuinely made me shudder the first time I watched it, and it still does to this day.
Having had injuries similar to this, yes. And also, if you watch the behind the scenes on Lord of the Rings, where Aston steps on that bottle in the water.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's brutal.
Yeah, you don't get to see the Hobbit feet in this particular shot, but there's a couple of them where you can see his fake.
He had
feet that he's wearing.
shoes specifically made to look like it was rubber shoes that looked like his feet.
Yeah, feet are very sensitive. It's awful.
Oh yeah.
But
it's a great scene. It's a great moment of weakness for him, and man, the amount of blood pouring out, and you know that this is how would I say this? It's a fatal injury for the situation that he's in. You know that this can genuinely just put him out
It
of
could
the
ruin
ring.
everything. Yeah, it could. Yeah, he could be done.
Because not only does it leave traces wherever he walks now, but
yeah, that too.
It's just horrible. It's a bad situation, and of course they use this as bonding time for him and Al, where Al basically just lets him know that he shot a kid, and that's where he.
So they both are exposing their weakness.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically how to live with a mistake is the theme, essentially, between both of them, and it's great. It's well done, short, and man, it's full of emotion by both of them actually.
Yeah.
And then of course the grid that needs to be shut down. And I recognize this actor, but I don't know from where. Maybe you guys can help me.
He's that guy.
Yeah, he's that guy in the other thing that you saw that other time.
Yep.
Oh, him. Oh, jeez. I
Yeah.
was wondering where he was from.
And,
You know that
and yeah,
this scene is in the extended. There's an Ultimate Die Hard edition, and loads
Ultimate.
of scenes. Yeah, and there's about 8 scenes that are longer, and this is one of them where the first time they shut down the power, they only shut down the local power, not the whole grid. So Gruber instructs Theo to annoy them, and then they switch the power to the building back on again. And that's when Dabby turns round and says, "Shut it down or you lose your job." And it's a completely differently edited sequence. I don't know if any of you have seen that version of it, but
I've seen that.
I noticed it just plays a little weird because the worker, the guy in the manhole, keeps saying, "I can shut it down from right here. I can do it, whatever." It comes off a little weird, like something's not quite right. So I'd like to see that edited differently.
Yeah. So this actor, he was also in Spaceballs as prison guard. He was also in Groundhog Day as Gus.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that might be where you would remember him from. He was in The Burbs.
Oh, The Burbs. That's where I fucking came from. Yep, 100% The Burbs. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
That,
as Art.
Yep, I love The Burbs. The Burbs is a great movie. So they have to basically shut down the grid, and that's what they do. And of course, it is what Hans wants. As we said before, they're going by the playbook, and they're just doing everything. And this is, you wanted a miracle, I give you the FBI.
It's a bit of a contrivance. It's a little convenient that Hans would know that ahead of time, but you let it play because you're invested.
Yep, that's true. And there it is. The vault is finally open. It looks.
If
looks like
there's not a
fucking
lot of
sci-fi.
contrivances, you can as an audience member, it's a lot easier to get around 1 or 2 contrivances than like 10, 15 of them. So it's
Well,
like,
it's absolutely a ratio with when you're engaged in a movie. I will let all kinds of stuff slide by because I'm invested. You know what I mean? It's like watching -1. Sure, there's lots of things that you could, try to stick your finger in, but I'm so invested and I'm so emotionally there with the movie. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
With new movies, it's like they try to get away with all of this shit, but you don't care about the movie from the beginning, and it doesn't play.
Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, as I said before, the kind of mystique element that it has to the vault, where here it just looks like some shit out of a sci-fi movie, and it's great. You've got Ode to Joy playing, and it's finally the the happy part of Ode to Joy, because they are happy they finally opened the vault. The FBI is also happy in the scene right before, because they think that they've got them where they want them, but nope. There they are, Dark Hour, the bearer bombs.
Yeah, is that Dark Hour on the bomb there?
Dark Hour with a different haircut. Yeah,
I look like George Washington. Yeah. It's a good hairline, I swear.
I think people have made that comparison before.
It looks like Platoon.
Oh,
yeah.
Actually, yeah,
Lord. Yeah, so we continue this touching moment where you've got him that's basically just saying that he should have been more supportive and that he's sorry and he loves Holly because he doesn't feel like he's gonna make it out alive after all that he suffered, which, man, understandable. There's a moment where you necessarily crack, of course, if you're an average Joe, especially in this situation.
This is his last will and testament. This is his parting note.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and this was kind of the key to writing the screenplay. You mentioned earlier, Uninspired, kind of like him the regret of him not really getting to reconcile with his wife, and the original writer of the screenplay, he had to translate that book that we saw earlier. He had to translate that into the screenplay, but he couldn't crack it. He couldn't figure out how to get it to work. So one night after having a fight with his wife, he went for a drive, and he was just grumpy and whatever, and driving around and wasn't really paying attention. And then other cars in front of him that were paying attention were swerving and missing a refrigerator box. And so he did not have time to stop. And so he thought, I'm dead. I'm going to hit this refrigerator box.
Which
thinking it's probably got a refrigerator in it.
Yeah, right. May or may not have a refrigerator in it.
Yeah, and so he was going to hit it. He could not dodge it, and so he ended up plowing right into it, and of course, it was empty. So, and he realized that for him, like, it was not being able to reconcile with his wife and the fight that they had. That's what would hurt him the most. And he started to realize, well, that's what this movie is. His wife is here, and we're going to see that he's motivated in some way by being able to reconcile with his wife.
Which brings us back to what we've been talking about forever, which is that the people that write movies nowadays don't have real life experiences to fall back on.
He's afraid he might not get to talk to that lady he had a one night stand with at one time.
Yeah, basically.
She won't tweet him.
Don't think people that write movies these days have any life experience to fall back on, really.
Yeah, but that's a perfect example where it's this guy had that moment of clarity and panic, and then translated it into a gripping human drama.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and Bruce Willis also, he was good looking, man. He was buff at the time, and also, he's showing off his muscles back then. Well, back then when this was a good standard. Yeah, his pec.
Yeah, but he's not a Schwarzenegger either. He's not like he's not this huge beefy guy. He's like he's
in good shape by regular person standards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also carefully manscaped. You can tell the chest hair.
That's Dark Hour's model there.
Actually, yeah. There you go.
Sculpts accordingly.
I actually have a very similar chest hair pattern, just not that anybody cares, but
I'm still not attracted to you. I don't know.
I know Z might be interested. I don't know.
Dark Hour, you can't sleep with us, man. Listen, all right.
Wait. That's your whole thing. What are you throwing that on me for?
Smilex.
That's your shtick.
Smilex one to the maid. My God.
No, I think it was to Bruce Willis.
for Bruce Willis.
Wow.
Is this woman who plays the housekeeper? Is this the same actress that plays Al Pacino's mother in Scarface? You know, when he goes back to see his mum.
I'm not
just,
sure.
It
I'm
could be
genuinely
her.
not sure.
I can look it up.
I'm
I don't have her
looking.
face in
I'm
mind.
looking right now. I'm looking right now.
But yeah, as we said before, this is Thornburg. That's basically just saying, yeah, if you don't open the door right now and let me interview the kids, I'll get you deported.
You know who would give the maid a 1? Schwarzenegger.
Oh.
Well done.
I would have much preferred her to be paid like Consuela from Family Guy and just
Consuela,
no, dear.
Mr. Willis is not here. Miss Gennaro not here. No.
Well,
She's not here,
And
no.
all canceled.
So
Okay.
not only does he lean on her about the immigration thing, he also plays her emotions by saying this will be the last chance his kids have to say, or
Yeah.
their kids have.
No,
to say
no.
goodbye
They
to their
are
parents.
asleep already. No.
I'm gonna do the rest of this as Consuela.
No, she was. That's not the same actress, but she was in Three Amigos and Stand and Deliver. That's the two things I've seen her in, and Running Scared.
She does have a familiar face.
Yeah, I have seen her in quite a few things.
Yeah, and so at this point, you know, Bruce Willis, he was thinking about the man upstairs, of course, referring to God. Then he was like, "Fuck, Hans! What was Hans doing upstairs when I caught him?" And he goes upstairs and checks it out, and boom, packets of C4, ladies and
Now
gentlemen.
that amount of C4, that would
That's a spicy meatball.
Yeah, I think that would take out the entire block, dude, like the entire city block. To be honest with you, like.
Oh, yeah.
Would not result in the fireball that we get to see, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. And of course, while he's up there, you've got Carl that's finally there. And of course, he doesn't manage to get the message in time about the C4. And Carl, I think does he destroy the radio with his bare hands, or does he put it on the floor?
I think he tosses it away and breaks it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, well, let's see how the fight with Carl goes. Man,
Honestly, like of all the fight scenes that I've ever seen in my years of watching films, this is probably it's just I know I said that first, the one earlier, fella. It just has such a grittiness to it that makes it possibly the best fist fight scene in not like a martial arts movie, in like a just action movie setting that you'll see around.
It's a
We didn't get the cart. We didn't get the cart there in that clip either. I love that when they are on the cart rolling through.
It's a very James T. Kirk sort of meat slap sort of.
They got the sound effects right, everything. Go ahead, Zeke.
Just like you said earlier, this is just one of those fights where John McClane is ridiculously outclassed.
Yeah.
And the only way he actually gets out of any of this fight is by pure determination and ferocity.
Yeah, I mean, he's injured, he's exhausted, he's, you know, everything going against him. He's basically running on pure adrenaline, and the other guy is running on essentially pure hatred at this point. So,
I mean, it's great because, I mean, just look at the you have to think about in context of how John McClane is very injured at this point. He's incredibly tired, and well, he probably hasn't had time to rest since his plane, you know, arrived. Maybe he didn't sleep on the plane ride either. So it's like he's there and he's just giving it his all because he knows that he has to take Carl down very quickly before he gets too tired, because he has to save his energy for everyone else, because he knows that there are a lot of other people left. And it's
He
like,
definitely didn't sleep on the plane because he was seated next to creepy feet guy. So
Zodlander, we actually did mention that earlier, that C4 is pretty much just a concussive explosion, that it's like 1 second the stuff is there and the next second it's gone with a really loud sound.
But this is movie C4, so
which
you've got barrels and barrels of gasoline on top of it when it goes off.
So it gets the rule of cool, you know. It's kind of like movie grenades. Movie grenades don't act like real grenades. It's just like a massive fucking explosion in movies.
Just a bang.
And
you know this because you're always playing with grenades, as we know. So
I play with 2 of them.
Hairy grenade.
And so at this point you've got Hans that basically knows who Holly is because of the when the reaction when he gets up and he sees her looking at the screen, the mini TV, of course, which these are actually pretty fucking cool. I wish we still had these.
The
And
the
then
mini CRT monitors.
It's in your
Mhm.
pocket now.
Yeah, you have that. It's just called your phone.
It doesn't have the same effect, man. It's just
No,
it's
you're
just
right
not-
though. These little TVs, portables, are really cool. They didn't
Yeah.
last long, but
They still use them in the production industry for because a lot of times
for
the
monitors. Yeah.
well, they don't interfere with other signals and stuff because they're old. So a
Mm.
lot of times they'll use them as like backup monitors.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. And so Hans finally flips up the photo that was flipped down at the beginning, and he puts 2 and 2 together. He knows that Holly is Holly McClane and not Holly Gennaro, and he takes her hostage, of course, because hey, what else are you gonna do? He's trying to get rid of Bruce, and then of course
Leverage.
you've got the choppers that are coming, and man, this is really fucking cool.
Dun, 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 dun,
Do you know that they shot this sequence with about, I think it's something like 17 cameras, and they only had 2 hours to get it, the whole sequence with the choppers.
Oh yeah,
They-
get all the
they-
cameras.
They
choppers
planned
in the
it
middle.
for weeks, so
Yeah.
they did a lot of prep, but literally just 2 hours on the day, get all the shots you need. So that's why they had so many cameras. to
Yeah,
work
rent
with.
every camera in town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it looks so fucking good too. It's like,
Yeah.
yep, back when you could really do this. Now they'll just say, let's do it in CGI. We don't have enough money to
Yeah.
shoot
God.
on the
Yeah.
road. We don't
Fuck
have enough
off.
permits. It's
Fuck off with your
yeah, but-
CGI. Just go away.
and it's everyone is basically just going to the roof now, and we finally get to see the Asian terrorist again. We haven't seen him in a while, actually.
Yeah, he gets to do his best bit. He gets shot.
Oh yeah, don't worry, I've got that one. It's probably one of my favorite probably one of my favorite deaths in the movie, just because of how cool it looks. And I'll show it. And so yeah, so you finally get everyone is just taking the bear bombs, and they're leaving. Of course, fuck yeah. What the hell else will you do? And while they're having this little discussion, I think we should check back on Bruce Willis and Carl and see how their fight is going.
Kill you. I'm gonna fucking cook you. I'm gonna fucking eat you.
That was
Oh, you
genius.
missed
That's
the
how
bit where Carl clips him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like
yeah.
the way how
Yeah, he
Bruce
does.
Willis is just complete punching bag right the way through this movie.
And also Bruce's, I don't know, dialogue in that scene. I'll fucking cook you. I'll fucking eat you. He is just off the rails. Like he's had enough.
He's completely lost it. Yes.
Yeah, he's had a bad day and he's over it.
Yeah, and then Carl, of course, is dead, supposedly. And then the
Yeah.
choppers is finally almost back. And it's like, yep. So for these interior chopper shots, did they actually do them inside the chopper, or did they have to, I don't know, do this as a rear projection or something like that?
If I was gonna plan this out, I would do this with green screen or projection. This seems a little dodgy to do in real time with the cost of a helicopter. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, especially having
I
2
believe,
hours.
I believe that for a couple of the shots, the actors were actually in them for a couple of the shots, but for the close-ups, probably not.
Now, for the close-ups, they look like rear projection. Actually, when you have the Johnson and Johnson, that's like you can clearly tell that it's rear projection.
Yeah, but for like this over the shoulder out the front window, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
That might be
maybe it
one
might
of
be.
the ones they did. I know that
Maybe.
Robert Davey got to go for a ride in the helicopter because he talked about it in an interview. So he must have done some shots in it.
Just like back in
Yeah. I was in
Saigon.
junior high, dickhead.
Back in Saigon. He said Saigon.
Yeah.
Saigon. That's what
Back in Saigon. And I was a junior high, dickhead.
And so yeah, so you finally get Bruce Willis. That's also on his way to the roof. And as I said before, man, it's one of my favorite kills in the entire movie. It's just so fucking good.
For anyone who wants to
Brutal.
know what uninspired looks like, his mustache is exactly the same.
We've already told them. Just go look at
Yeah,
Jedi Brooks
that's-
and just make him Frencher.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
Uninspired has always wanted to play Genghis Khan. This is true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he could. So check that out soon.
And so yes, he finally reaches the roof, and look, he's shirtless now, of course, bloodied up, and man, it has been a very, very tough day for him. And everyone's just on the roof, and of course he's trying to get them off the roof. Yeah, go ahead.
He really earned getting his vest off in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But he lost that while he was fixing up his feet, right?
Yeah, he wrapped his feet
Yeah.
with it.
He wrapped his feet in it.
Mm-hmm. Then yeah, so he's trying to get everyone off the roof because the C4 is rigged to explode on the roof with the hostages on it, which is why the Hans's team had brought them up there. But of course, no one's listening, so he has to shoot. I don't know if you can see him shooting on the still. You'd have to like look pretty closely.
You can
but
see
he's
can see it right there. Yeah, you can see a little bit of the muzzle flash.
Yep, with the
Yeah.
muzzle flash. And of course, shooting doesn't, go over well with the FBI, who would probably think that you're one of the terrorists, of course. And,
Yeah.
man.
But it's believable that he would resort to that because he's just trying to save lives.
That
Yeah.
shot that you just showed, if you go back with the helicopter and that one,
Yeah.
that's not on top of the actual building. That's the car park set.
Yeah.
So they
Oh.
reconstructed part of the roof on top of a car park, and that's the same place where Willis jumped off for the shot that's coming up in a sec. Yeah.
This is
Parking garage
great
for you
point, is that
Americans.
Yeah.
he goes up
Okay.
there, and the first thing, and he keeps asking is, "Where's Holly? Where's Holly?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we finally get the well, you know what? Let me play the clip because I have the clip of this one.
Class.
Great-
Gives a
great
shit about class.
combination.
Well,
great.
what's amazing about that is it doesn't happen like in a Michael Bay way. He doesn't just jump and swing through the window. He has to
Yeah.
batter it with his bloody broken foot to get
And that would
through.
hurt like fuck too. I mean, he was
Oh,
he
yeah.
was basically
Yeah.
like free falling into essentially, it's I'm guessing it's not bulletproof, obviously, but it's clearly pretty
No.
thick glass.
Yeah,
Well, it's
safety
normal
glass.
because the high rise, yeah.
And
supposed to-
Willis really did that first
He
shot,
did.
the one with the explosion going off behind him. You can see it's him.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
all that
Oh, yeah.
all that movie C4. That's C3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this little bit here, I love it because this stunt, it just has all and just a bit from the movie too, but it has that great like push and pull where it's like, okay, he survived the explosion on top of the building. Now he's swinging down and gets to smash to the side of the building. He has to find a way into the building, so he gets in.
Yeah.
And then the thing's going to pull him
then
down.
The thing's gonna pull him
Yeah.
off. Yeah. So it goes back and forth and back and forth. The peril of it. It's great.
Yeah, out of the
It's
frying
so-
pan.
Yep.
It's fantastic. It's just so good, and even the fact that everything is almost done, practically, it just adds so much more intensity. I mean, Z, you were talking about Skyscraper before, when we started, and it's like, yeah, it's like that movie is trash because everything's CGI. You can tell that it's CGI. He's just jumping.
Yeah.
It
It's
has
like
no
it's
weight.
trash.
That film could have been good. The Die Hard meets Towering Inferno is a pretty good pitch for a movie, a different take on this. It just needed a better script and a different lead. Two fairly.
Yeah, The Rock was
essential.
completely unsuitable for
He was.
Skyscraper.
Yeah. Oh,
and
he's
some practical
completely.
effects.
He's completely unsuitable for acting, really.
Yeah, for most of it. Yeah.
Their pitch for that movie was that it's Die Hard in a building.
Ooh, yeah, that's original.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Funnily enough, Die Hard does take place in a building.
Oh,
Yeah, let me think that through.
Yeah.
The-
No,
but I
but you
just-
don't understand. This building's really tall.
oh.
yeah.
not
It's
just
a
any building.
skyscraper. Don't you understand? It's the tallest building. It's a tall CGI building. So it's
Yeah, a
Die Hard.
CGI
No, it's
building.
actually Die Hard in not a building. It's Die Hard on a soundstage.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so you got got this, George of the Jungle type pose where it's a great change of scenery, which I really appreciate. But even though it only lasts for a few seconds, because after that you've got the chopper that explodes, of course. Which
I really love that set.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the big miniature there.
the giant one, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah.
So that helicopter models, that helicopter model is about 2-3 feet long.
Yeah, for scale, I think that model is 20 feet, maybe 30 feet high.
Yeah, there's on the making of. There's a good shot of it. You
Yeah.
can see it's absolutely massive. It's built on the same backlot, funnily enough, where they built the model for the tower in Towering Inferno.
Yeah, beautiful miniature.
They really were not convinced that miniature shot was going to work at all. And then when they actually did it, and the helicopter came off the side like it was supposed to, and all the flames and everything, and then they slowed it down just a touch, just slowed it down just a little bit. It gave
Just
weight to
right.
everything, and it looks great.
Yeah.
It looks real. It looks really real.
Just fantastic.
100%.
Yeah, it's just like fuck yeah, explosions.
I wonder if the koi carp fish survived that explosion in the pond.
They're going to turn up at the craft services pretty quick.
Goldfish lives matter.
Oh yeah. And at this point, he's only got about 2 bullets left, and you've got Argyle, of course, that's in the parking garage, and Argyle's, he's helping out a bit. He's getting a bit of screen time, and
It's a cool shot because he kind of sneaks up at first in that like nice quiet limo or whatever, and then he just floors it.
Yeah, Theo's not your friend that you want in a bar fight with you, is he? Really?
No. Well, it's supposedly the actor who played Argyle, he said that he kept pulling his punches, and the director kept telling him wasn't good enough. Hit him, harder.
Hit him.
And so finally, he just cocked the guy for real because he was so tired of taking the shot over and over again.
Jesus.
Ah, man. No wonder he didn't want to be on this stream.
Right? He's nursing a broken hand.
So him when he shakes his hand after that shot, when he's shaking his hand, that's for real. He's actually like, I really just hurt myself.
Oh man. And then, like the reveal, the final. I mean, I guess this is the last part of the movie, and the way that Bruce Willis just walks in, kind of like a
this shot. He's beautiful. It's so beautifully lit. It's so beautifully blocked. And Bruce just comes like limping out of there like a
he's so beaten. He's beaten and bloody and barely just walking. It's great. It's played so well.
It's like the Khan moment, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but, I mean, the great part is that you only see the amount of like blood that's covering his body only when he steps into the light. It's like such a good reveal, and it's like, damn, this man has really fucking suffered.
This is a great line we didn't say, by the way.
Makes you wonder how the tape sticks to his back, but I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really good tape.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's Nakatomi Christmas tape is top quality.
True.
World renowned
top of the line.
Nakatomi holiday tape.
There's the prototype for duct tape.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, you know what? Let me play the clip.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Also, I mean, how do you origami your hands backwards behind your back and take that gun? I mean, just going to say, that's a pretty tricky set of tape to put on your back.
Listen, he's been a cop for 11 years, It's
Jay Goodwin pointed it out. The best tape in the world is gaffer tape or gaff.
Yeah.
Tape,
that is.
And I love the detail here, too, that was his last 2 bullets.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean,
That was it.
theoretically, you could lay the tape on the gun and back up against the wall and maybe get that done, but it's Bruce Willis and we're willing to buy it.
That's the Z3PO sex toy technique, so I believe it. All right.
Oh man, and yeah, you've got Hans that basically falls because the bullet hole cracks the window, and then Holly, I think, shoves him a bit, so breaks the glass and he falls out, and now he's hanging onto Holly. And then, of course, the perfect payoff with the watch.
It's the
Watch.
final payoff with the watch.
Yep.
I love the story that Alan Rickman didn't know when they were going to drop him because they dropped him at the wrong number.
Well,
And
apparently,
they
they were supposed to count to 3, and they dropped him on 1 or something like that.
That was a real reaction from him. Yeah, when he's dropped, and of course he agreed to do that stunt himself. So he is falling. I mean, that's a 20-foot fall down into a bag. So I mean, that was for somebody who's never been in a movie before, never done a stunt before. That's a pretty crazy stunt to agree to do too. So I'm sure there was some terror there for sure.
Yeah, I've got a picture of that for you. It's the one from Wikipedia page, pretty small,
There you go.
but
that's fine.
just to see how they did it, and that is Rickman in place right there.
Oh wow, yeah,
done in a studio, of course. So he didn't do the big
dive.
fall that you saw.
Nice.
And that big fall was done by a stunt man, and they had to have wires to slow him down, so that because it was such a high fall. Yeah.
Look at it, man.
He does fall.
He's the terror on his face.
That guy doing that fall, yeah, he had to have wires to slow him down.
To this day, one of the greatest lines in sequel history is when he realizes that it's Hans' brother in the 3rd movie, and he goes, "Yeah, I threw his brother out of what was it, out of the 30th story of the Nakatomi Plaza or whatever." But the way that he says it, like the it's not even the line itself; it's like the realization moment.
Yep. Man, it's a great. Hey, listen, I think Die Hard 2 is a good sequel. I think Die Hard 3 is a greater sequel, but I still enjoyed Die Hard 2. I know a lot of people give it shit because it's just, Die Hard in an airport. But it's like, yeah, who gives a shit? It's great anyways. It's great. Yeah.
I like it.
I like it. And ladies and gentlemen, look, the Christmas spirit is there. Going back to your loved ones, of course, and telling them that you appreciate them. There it is.
Their big bloody kiss.
Mm-hmm. Nice and bloody.
No tongue.
There's Al.
There he is. Look at him.
The best part is that they had no idea what each other looked like. So, like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
You just come down and it's this pudgy cop, and you're like, this is the guy that.
Well, I felt the same way when I saw Artoo on camera. So.
Oh, that was.
If
only I looked as good as Reginald Vell Johnson.
I like the way they added to the Christmas feel by having all the papers come out of the building to simulate a white Christmas. That was just a little bit of icing on the cake for me.
And of course, they had the 2 actors. This is the first time the 2 actors had actually been in a scene together. They had actually gotten, to meet each other. So it was kind of a genuine reaction too.
That's the stuff you kind of you dream about as a director, to be able to coordinate emotions like that.
Yeah. How do we all feel about the guy suddenly coming back from the dead? I get that it's there for the redemption arc for the cop, but in terms of that character sort of coming back at that moment,
first of all, there's two things. Yeah, Carl. Why does he have his gun?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
who puts a firearm in a body bag? What's up with that?
Again, I would file this under I'll allow it because the ride was so good. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not realistic at all, but
his neck probably would not have snapped because of the fact it was wrapped and he was sort of walked off of it. But yes, the blood flow problem, he would be dead
from strangulation.
Yeah, he would have died from strangulation. You can only be without for about 4 minutes before your brain is essentially dead.
Well, we don't know when he let himself loose. I mean,
he was still hanging. No, he was still hanging there when they ran from the roof. You see it.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
So, I don't think that it's really necessary for the end of the movie. I mean, I said, like you were saying, it does give that redemption arc there, but it just feels a little extra.
Yeah, if it hadn't have been in there, the film would have been fine.
Still would have been fine. Yeah. Al gets to meet the man he's in love with. They get to have a tender embrace.
The thing that
romance comes to a close.
The thing that made it really jarring was that I'm a big James Horner fan, so I know every piece of music of his, and suddenly we've got a piece of music from Aliens playing when he rips his way out of the bag. And they say that's an unused track, but that track is not unused. It is in the film. So yeah, it's in the movie. It's a slightly different version of it, but it's
So it was a chest burster. This is basically what
I guess, yeah. Body bag burster. That's
Yeah.
where he is.
Yeah.
And
but
at this point, Holly does introduce herself as Holly McClane, not Holly Gennaro, which is a good moment as well. Just ties everything together.
indicating their relationship is repaired, all because of taking out several people. So
because of
kill
murder.
12 people in a tall building if you need to fix your marriage.
Yep, that's all you need. And there he is, Argyle, the man. It's just coming through. So
I love that they don't open fire on his limo.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No need to interview you or anything. You can just go, it's fine.
It's like, fuck it. It's Christmas, ladies and gentlemen.
We're
That's
in
all that-
storybook territory now. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
so-
wrapping it up in a bow. It's all fine.
Yeah. Then of course, they shared the last kiss in a bit of a darkenly lit limo, and of course he's sitting at the back of his limo. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. And I did forget to say.
Cut to a Christmas
We
song.
did thank the fucking reporter.
Oh,
There he is.
Yeah.
There we go.
Get that?
You got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me you got that.
I'll see it again because he was a bitch. There he is. Boom.
Good for Holly.
And I guess that's how the movie ends, ladies and gentlemen. And that was Die Hard. Yeah.
Brilliant film.
Absolutely fantastic.
Fab stuff.
Great film, man.
And I don't care what the poll says. It's a Christmas movie. Damn it.
It's
It is a Christmas movie.
I know.
10 out of 10 from me on IMDb.
There's no debate. It's a Christmas movie through and through.
Yeah.
I always
Oh,
tell
yeah, it is a
tell
Christmas-
people that because the main argument is that Christmas doesn't play like the central plot, and you could have made it about you could have replaced the Christmas party with anything, right? And my argument is always, well, is Home Alone a Christmas movie? And if someone says yes, it's like, well, then by that standard, Die Hard is a Christmas movie because you could have made that about a summer vacation that they were going on.
The plot,
Suck it,
the
Dark
plot,
Hour.
the plot is a Christmas story. It's about a family getting back together. It's for the holidays.
It's just a bit more bloody than usual.
We did have one additional super chat from Mo, who's been the guardian angel of the day.
Thank you, Mo.
I'm not sure. I never watched Community, so I'm not sure which scene they're talking is being referenced here. But apparently, there's a cool homage scene in Community.
Yeah,
You don't need to super chat again if you just want to clarify on a regular chat. That is fine. You don't. But I'm not sure which scene you're talking about for us to actually discuss.
Yeah. I know. Is John McTiernan in any of these pictures? I don't know what he looks like.
Isn't that him right there on the left?
Is that him?
I think that's
Is that him?
He's in the middle of that
Yeah.
photograph. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. I guess
Yeah,
that's
he's
far
acne
left.
scoring.
I think that's Jan de Bont on the left.
Probably.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed the
Joel Silver,
not
maybe.
trope, but the convention of like the firefighter's jacket on the the disheveled hero at the end of a movie. I like that.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's nice. It's like what does he say throughout the movie? He says, I feel unappreciated. And then Al is like, I love you. It's like, yep, there it is. Great. And so there's just the last scene of him. I think they're trying out the blood pump because you can see the pump in Willis's
He's got
hand
the
right
syringe in his hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Then and that's about it for Die Hard, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic film.
Good stuff.
So yeah, I guess
Yeah.
let's go around the table and just give our last little thoughts on the film. We'll start with Lance.
Can you go to somebody else for a sec?
Sure, we'll go to Adam.
I don't know what I could add. I feel like I talked too much through this, but rewatching this the past couple of days has been just an absolute pleasure. Joined, of course, by my smarter half, Barbara, and we just got such a kick out of watching it and picking apart all the great stuff in this movie. I cannot get over how well written this is. There's not an inch of fat on this movie. It's a callback to to the great like 1930s movies like The Thin Man or something like that. Some of the better Charlie Chan movies where it's just rapid fire. You get all the information that you need. None of it feels forced. And it's just tight. It is a tight script, and we don't see that anymore.
Yep.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Artoo.
Well, what more is left to say? I mean, really, this is an absolutely iconic film. It is one of the best action movies ever made, one of the best Christmas movies also. But I mean, it's just fantastic, and there's just so much amazing talent and coincidence and whatever that came together and made this great film. I mean, it's kind of impressive. You know, Adam was mentioning how tight the script is. They were writing just pages ahead of shooting. The writers were the writer was struggling to get all these pages done and get them out so that they could get shot, and so that they were able to pull this together. And really, the only thing that you can say about the script is, well, there was that ambulance thing that we missed earlier, you know, and that's it. I mean, the rest of it, the setups, the payoffs, it's just such a fantastic film. Watch it every year. It's amazing. Just great.
3PO.
Yep.
It's a 10 out of 10 movie for me, one that's infinitely rewatchable. There aren't many movies that you could just pick up and no matter how many times you see it, enjoy it again. But Die Hard is certainly one of them. The plot is so tight. The special effects are perfect. I love the use of practicality and no CGI whatsoever. Adds so much more gravitas to what's happening there. And I would say to anybody in the chat who hasn't watched this year, go back, do it again. It's well worth it.
That is a PSA right there, if I ever heard one before.
Oh, for sure.
And,
this is a great film.
Are you ready, Lance?
Yeah. So sorry, I was trying to find a photo, but unfortunately I couldn't find it. Well, it's on the cover of my book, except that Bruce Willis obviously looks much better looking in this version. 'Cause it's me. So this is the photo at the back here. That's the group of people that I took to see Die Hard. This group on the left here. And I have actually got a photograph of us standing outside the cinema on the day that we went to see the movie. And no one knew what film we were going to see except for me, because I'd already seen it in America. And, you know, and I knew how good it was. And we had the whole of the front row of the dress circle. This is a really big movie theater, seats like 900 people, where they have all the premieres and stuff like that. And we had to turn up at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday because it was just a one-off screening at the London Film Festival. So everybody was like, what the fuck, Lance? Why have we got to meet for your birthday at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday? And I was just like, it's going to be worth it. You're going to thank me. And we saw that in the morning. Then we all went for lunch, ice skating, got pissed in that order, and then we went and saw Scrooged with Bill Murray in the evening.
Sounds like a day.
So yeah, it was a big sort of like birthday event, and I booked all the tickets in advance. They didn't know about the second movie either, and it was just amazing, you know, and fantastic to see it in that sort of size of a movie theater again in 70 millimeter. And everybody still that went on that day, apparently I'm not still in touch with all of them, but you know, when I've bumped into them over the years, they always go, oh my god, yeah, remember that time you took us to see Die Hard? So it's still like a day that's talked about with great reverence. And it's a film for me that was iconic in so many ways, and it's also a great date movie. You know, it's a really good date movie, and I've every time I've been in a new relationship, one of the first things it's like, right, we've got about 5 films that you've definitely got to watch. You know, Lord of the Rings, Die Hard, Best in Show. That's one of the ones that's always near the top of the list. And if in
They
doubt,
gotta run the gauntlet.
well, if they don't like Die Hard, then date number 3 is not happening. So yeah, yeah, there we go. I'm a camera.
I would just like to thank my new member, Zodlander.
Oh, cool.
And I actually, I mean, I don't know about you, Uninspired, but I have nothing to add. I think that was a perfect way to end up.
Yeah, man.
this
I mean,
there.
just go watch Die Hard. That's pretty
Yeah.
much it. But it's already been said.
There's a few people in the chat who want us to keep trying to justify why we think this is a Christmas movie.
So
you want to
it's
know?
pretty
Here, I'll
simple.
tell you. I'll tell
Okay.
you.
Well, this will be the
Christmas-
final argument.
Yeah, Christmas plays a role in this movie. It happens
There you
during Christmas. He is there because of Christmas.
He
There's
wouldn't go
Christmas
there
music through.
if it
There's
wasn't
Christmas music.
Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah. There's
Yeah,
Christmas
it's-
music throughout the film. There's jingle bells playing at different parts in the score.
Christmas
Christmas is an
decorations play a
integral part. Yes.
The Christmas
Yes.
decorations play a part. I mean, we were just talking about the tape. It was Christmas packing tape.
Yeah.
The fact that he uses the now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho, with the all that. He's got the Santa Claus stuff that he pulls from. It's all in there. It's, if you want to argue it's not, you have to then disqualify about half, if not
Yeah.
more, than other Christmas movies that you can
It's,
just take
of course,
out.
yeah. It's not about celebrating Christmas. It's not about learning the true meaning of Christmas or something like a lot of other sort of bog standard Christmas movies. But Christmas is an integral part of what is
There you go.
happening in this
One
film.
of the characters is called Holly, which is something I didn't even notice at the time.
Yeah, I
Yep.
didn't catch that either.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So
Well,
I'm ending the argument right there.
Christmas, yeah.
There's no argument. The
Yeah.
ending is the family coming back together. Like, and if it, what is more Christmas than that? Nothing.
John McClane slides down the chimney, kind of.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I mean that's all I've
Yeah.
got, and that's, I don't want to. I think that Lance's story and that argument, that's a great place to end it. So I just
Yeah,
want to say thank you to
yeah.
all of the panelists. This was fun. This is one of my favorite movies. It was great to talk with you guys about this one. I was glad, Lance. I was glad you can make it. I know it was rough for you, but you soldiered through, and that's awesome. It's great to
For
have
Die Hard,
yeah.
Lance will do it.
It's great to have Z again for the third or fourth time you've been on, and Adam and Artoo for the first time. And
Thanks
it's
for having us.
Yeah.
and,
thank you. Thanks for having me.
technically today's Festivus, so a happy Festivus for the rest of us. If you celebrate Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah.
You just wanted to rhyme that, didn't you?
Yeah. No, that's
We'll
from-
take care of the
that's-
airing of grievances afterwards.
That's from Seinfeld.
Oh.
Yeah, and I just want to say to all the panel and all the chat, have a Merry Christmas. Thank you for making this a pretty awesome year for this show, and I think going
Yeah.
forward it's going to be even better.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. We've got well, did everyone do
We
their
do-
shout out?
Well, yeah, that was going to be the last thing, and then we're gonna.
All right. Yeah, well, yeah, Two Hosts has been great. I mean, this is how many months have we been doing it for? I think
About 6.
6. Jesus.
Yeah, we started in July, so July, August, September, October, November, December. Yeah, so we're in month 6.
Yeah. Two Hosts has been really, really fun. I think that we finally found our stride. I mean, we're doing 3.5 hours on average, which is pretty good. It's kind of what we wanted.
It depends how many people we have on. Six people tends to be about 3 hours, 3 to 3.5 hours. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's great, man. And to see everyone, supporting us each time that we watch. I mean, right now we've got about 20 people watching. We peaked at 30, and it's like the fact that you guys come in and spend your time to watch us is it's incredible, man. I to this day, I just can't believe that you guys spend your time watching us, and man, it just means a lot to me, especially in this merry season where you guys can be spending your time elsewhere. And, so yeah, I guess we should do the plug your shit section.
Yes.
So, all right. So, which way do you want to start? From me? From
we can start. We'll start from you and then work to your left.
All right. Well, I'll do Professor Artoo first, and then after that, go ahead. So yeah, Professor Artoo, it's time to plug your shit.
Well, I'm not sure I have all that much to plug. I am apparently the YouTube seat filler extraordinaire. So, come and help out wherever is needed, swoop in at the last minute. But no, I don't really have my own channel or anything like that, but I do occasionally guest also over on Mr. Brown's stream. Hopefully I get to come back on here again soon.
Or you'll be reinvited.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, this is great. Thanks. Glad to be here.
Oh, you're welcome, man. It's a pleasure
And
to have you on. And,
I'm
great.
so glad. I'm glad I got invited. I'm also glad that Lance still got to be here. Take care, brother.
Yeah, just about.
So let's go with Z.
Well,
yep.
you can usually find me on the Mr. Brown Alliance channel. I think we're doing a movie tomorrow. I can't confirm if it's Die Hard 2. But we've definitely got something on tomorrow, so do check us out over on the Brown Alliance channel. Otherwise, it was great to be on with you guys again, and thank you for chat for supporting us.
Oh, always a pleasure to have you on, Z.
Yeah, thanks
You're
for coming
very
on,
welcome.
Adam.
Hello. Yes, I wasn't going to mention it, but before the show, had an instance of Z3PO actually plugging my shit, and I'll say it was rather cold. I am one half of B-roll stage. I think I recognize everyone in the chat, but if somebody's on the rewatch, we show classic movies, a lot of B movies, and we enjoy the hell out of watching them. That would be Barbara Lawrence and myself. And we live stream every Friday night until YouTube tells us to stop.
Yeah. Until YouTube is annoying with their copyright system.
I just realized I cut off Uninspired a couple times from saying his tagline. So go ahead, Uninspired. I'm sorry I did that to you.
Wait, what tagline?
Your
plug
your shit.
your shit. Oh yeah. Well, I guess Adam plugged his shit already. Yeah. So yeah, B-roll stage, everybody. Adam's channel. You guys.
Yes, we've had Artoo, we've had Uninspired, Dark Hours coming up soon, very much hopefully, and yeah, we're all sort of in the same weird clubhouse here, so
I'm still waiting to be invited. What's going on?
Well, Lance, when you stop coughing, maybe you'll be there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. And so, Lance, I guess it's your turn to plug your shit.
Well, I plugged my book already, so it's on Amazon. Please get it. I cancelled a couple of streams because I am really trying to take it easy. So as you can hear, I'm still coughing, and I've actually got no energy at all. Even like walking to the shop is a massive effort right now. This thing really wiped me out. But I've already got 3 industry interviews booked for January. The first of these, which you guys are going to be interested in, is second unit director and first AD Dennis McGuire. I've got his IMDb page up, Dark Hour, if you could just share it for a sec.
Yeah, sure.
He's got 52 credits, and among the films that he's worked on, and the ones I'm particularly looking forward to talking to him about are Uncommon Valor, Karate Kid 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Rambo 3,
Last Crusade.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Black Rain, Misery, Thunderheart, Patriot Games, Hard Target. So I'm going to be talking to him about all of those. I probably won't get into The Postman so much. But he also did Soldier, Angela's Ashes, Rockstar. So there's going to be plenty of questions for Dennis. I already had a really lovely chat with him, and he's got loads of great.
This was the one that I said that I'd co-host for, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be there, everybody.
Dark Hour's going to be on that one with me. Assuming I'm well enough, I'll be doing the final episode of the Nielsen ratings on the 30th of December. I pushed that back just to give me more time to recover. And hopefully Enzo and Uninspired will be on that with me. We're going to be talking about the sort of our top 3 movies and our top 3 TV shows of 2023, and also the biggest balls ups. So Napoleon. Yeah. So we'll get into those. Just on a completely separate note, I just want to thank everyone, both the panel and anyone listening, who's either collaborated with me this year or who has subscribed to my channel. I'm 90 away from 3,000 subs.
Nice.
So that was my goal, was to hit 3K before the end of the year. Hopefully we can do that. but also just collaborating with people, doing different streams on different people's channels has honestly been one of the biggest highlights of my year, and meeting all these people and making friends from different backgrounds. Long may that continue. And I say this to all of the panelists, you're welcome on my channel anytime. So you see something I'm doing it on the schedule and you're interested in it, just give me a shout. You can contact me via the Outcast Facebook page if you haven't, or Twitter is probably easier. But yeah, so Professor Artoo, you know, anytime, man, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And I think everybody else has been on, and I can't wait to do the Julian Clary special episode with Z3PO. So
that was great fun being on your movie quiz, Lance. So thank you so much for having me.
That was the funnest stream I've ever been on.
That's going to be a yearly event, actually, and I'm probably going to do a summer one as well. So
sounds good
for you guys, especially. I've already got people begging me to be on it next year.
I think what you got to do is you just got to try to return the winning team and have somebody try to dethrone that team.
I'll vote for that.
Yeah, actually, I might bring the winning team back and have a new team go up against them. That's actually a pretty good idea. So.
The winning team without Northern English bastard will lose very, very quickly.
Well, it depends. I mean, if there's a lot more action movie questions or martial arts movie questions, I could have carried the team. I wasn't.
Some Godzilla questions in there. I'll run that.
Yeah.
Well,
it really just it boils down to what the questions are that come up. You know?
That was a great time. It was a great time.
But anyway, guys, thanks. Thanks very much for having me on, and I'm glad I was able to make it. I wasn't going to stay for the whole thing, but I kept muting myself and drinking cups of ginger, so I've been all right, and it's good for me to stay active. Actually, I've noticed the more I lie down, the worse I feel. So better to stay at least be a bit active with this thing.
Really glad you were able to make it. This was a movie that I didn't want to talk about without you. You know, I know how much this one means to you. So
honestly, I swear on Tuesday I was so ill I thought my number was up. I really did.
You're here, man. Talking about Die Hard.
That didn't
happen. Yeah, it's a good metaphor for Die Hard. Exactly. So but yeah, thanks again, and it's been a great year where YouTube's concerned. I've just got to work out the tax thing now, which is a nightmare.
Yeah, that is kind of annoying, especially for monetization and stuff. But
yeah,
don't worry,
you'll
get it sorted out.
I've got to fill out this massive form online that takes 20 minutes, and you can only do it within a certain time, otherwise it resets itself. So, what kind of test is?
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Yes. Little Dark Hour, you're on my I'm on your channel.
Yeah, so you plug your shit.
Yeah. Dark Hour, give me the line, bro.
Plug your shit.
Yeah, you see, Dark Hour can do it too. So yeah, man. In terms of stuff for two hosts, we're on next week again. Next week is gonna be the last one of the year, so same time as usual, and we're gonna have Kevin Altieri.
Yeah.
Yep. That's going to be
first industry interview. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to have to sit down and really come up with a concise amount of questions and stuff.
True. Yeah.
I have like the basic ideas of what I want to say. We just got to make sure how we get the wording down right.
What does he do again? Remind me.
Kevin Altieri is a director and writer, producer for a lot of animated things, but most well known for his work on Batman the Animated Series.
Right. Yeah. Oh, what a great guest. Fantastic.
Yeah. So we've got that next week, and then in terms of two host stuff for next year, I'll update the schedule. As you guys know, the schedule is on the re-upload channel, of course, the two host re-upload channel. So the schedule is in the description over there. So come January, I'll update it for the entire month. And then in terms of me, I've got a live stream next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. my time. So that's like 7 p.m. British time, and I think that's 2 p.m. Eastern, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
And so it's gonna be just a horror movie stream. Gonna be talking horror in general, 2023, and then after that, I'll go into the panelists' favorite horror movies. So I've got some good guests that are gonna come on. It's gonna be a really, really chill stream. The panelists aren't gonna stay the entire stream. It's gonna be in and out. And then, of course, I'm trying to get my video out before the end of the year. Hopefully it comes out just before the stream on the 28th. So I'll do a premiere, then we'll go into the stream. But yeah, so it's gonna be the top 10 unknown horror movies, or movies that horror movies you've probably never seen or heard of. And man, I've got quite the list. Really, really proud of the list. I watched about 50 horror movies in about a month just to get ready for it. Man, I found some really, really hidden gems for you that I'm really happy to share. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
And as for me,
yeah, Dark Hour, plug your shit.
Oh, right before this stream, I released my Rebel Moon video. It's really that bad. You could go listen to me talk about it. There is a copyright filter over it because Netflix is notorious for not letting people do that. And I am traveling for the holidays, so I wouldn't have been able to do it again. And by the time I got back, it would probably have been too late. But other than that, I'm probably going to do a review of Aquaman, which was surprisingly not nearly as bad. And dare I say, possibly good compared to a lot like what I had seen from Rebel Moon.
I don't believe it.
I didn't believe it myself. And I really want to. I booked my ticket for it. I want to go see Iron Claw. Yeah, and I'm going to probably review that, but that probably will come in early 2024. Speaking of which, there was a super chat from Chris, the blue collar loser, who just got home from the Iron Claw, but that ruined his Christmas. Glad Dark Hour's Rebel Moon video finally got uploaded after 10 attempts, and I finally gave up on trying to trim down the clips. And what the fuck, Netflix? Lance, okay, it's a lot in one super chat there.
I drank one of these, so I'm fine now. Look, see.
No,
and
more subtle product placement there. Yeah,
that's a South Park joke.
And
if you've seen the latest episode, you'll know what I'm having a dig at.
That all being said, I think that we started this, and I think it's probably the best comment from the chat to leave off on from one of my newer members whose name appeared in my credits for the first time this past video. That's from Jamalama. Merry Christmas, y'all.
Jamma's a real one.
Jamalama ding dong.
Jam is great. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
And,
so I guess all we have to do is thank the chat.
Yeah, thank you, chat. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us, man. 3 hours 46. Yep.
I will be on Hypnotic's channel later tonight. So
come on, man. How could you forget to plug your shit after I tell you to plug your shit?
That's not my shit. That's Hypnotic's shit. I'm just gonna be on his shit. But yeah, so I guess with that being said,
everybody.
See ya.
All right.
Merry Christmas.